Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Air Alaska passengers were sidelined last night by an IT outage. The entire fleet, as well as its Horizon Air aircraft, were grounded for about 3 hours. Flights resumed 2 a.m. Eastern with residual delays continuing. Meantime, we're learning about a near miss over the upper Midwest.
SkyWest Flight 3788 from Minneapolis had just been cleared to land at Minot, North Dakota, when the pilot suddenly swerved, telling his shaken passengers he'd spotted a B-52 on an apparent collision course. It appears the B-52 was performing a flyover at the North Dakota State Fair that day. No further comment from the Air Force. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
Pilot telling passengers this is not normal at all. They're cleaning up after severe storms in the Midwest and Northeast. Crews clearing away fallen trees and branches in the streets of Beverly, Massachusetts. In Maryland, extreme flooding led to more than 100 water rescues in just 2 hours. The problem for many parts of the country today will be stifling temperatures. CBS meteorologist Andrew Kozak.
Millions and millions of folks across the midsection of the country and the south underneath excessive heat watches, warnings, and advisories.
Local officials say Israeli troops have killed and wounded dozens of Palestinians waiting for a food delivery. Reporter Linda Gradstein from Jerusalem.
The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says it is receiving desperate messages of starvation from inside Gaza. In a post on X, the UN said that food prices have increased 40-fold and that the UN has large stockpiles of food just outside Gaza, which Israel is not allowing to enter. The Gazan Health Ministry said at least 19 Palestinians in Gaza have died from starvation in the past 24 hours.
A new CBS News poll finds support for President Trump is falling. It's now at 42%. That's a double-digit drop since February. CBS's Jennifer DePinto.
Most Americans still want more focus from the administration on lowering prices than on tariffs. 64% disapprove of how Trump is handling inflation, the highest disapproval for him on that yet.
After the scandal at a Coldplay show last week that outed a couple of married coworkers, Morgan Wallen assured fans at a concert in Glendale, Arizona.
Somebody in here with their side chick or whatever. I think you're safe here.
Astronomer, CEO, and the head of the company's HR, who were caught on kiss cam at Coldplay's Gillette Stadium gig on Thursday.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Martin didn't know it, but his first guess was correct. They're now both unemployed. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
It is 6:03, and right now it's raining once again in downtown St. Louis. We've got 74 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. The news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. The rain is coming down. We will continue to follow it. AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg with an update in 7 minutes. Traffic is heavy in some areas because of rain, or at least we're anticipating that. So we'll check in with Roger Brand as well. And it has happened again. Another St. Louis City Justice Center detainee dies. Now, the St. Louis Police Department's Force Investigative Unit is investigating the death.
In a release, police say 31-year-old Samuel Hayes Jr. was found unresponsive in a restraint chair around 10 o'clock Saturday night. The death followed Hayes and another detainee having an altercation in his cell before 8:30. Police say Hayes refused to comply with orders from corrections staff and was then put in that restraint chair. When jail staff found Hayes, he was unresponsive, conveyed to the hospital, and pronounced deceased. A cause of death was not released. Police say the medical examiner will determine the cause of death. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
It is 6:04, and St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer releasing a statement regarding that inmate's death, emphasizing her commitment to accountability and a full review of the incident. She stated that reforming the jail and ensuring the safety of those in custody are top priorities of her office. Spencer affirmed that her office will support and await St. Louis Police Department's thorough investigation and final report.
The Minority Business Program has been put on hold by St. Louis City.
Mayor Kara Spencer says the program was put on hold to avoid jeopardizing public funding for major projects like the airport consolidation. She says this won't change how the city supports minority businesses.
I'm really proud of Otis Williams for leading the charge here to making sure that we're not only compliant, but really working towards a solution that allows us to really fulfill our promise to support our minority contractors.
The program helped minority and women-owned businesses register as such to help them qualify for government contracts with those requirements. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A 50-year-old Florissant man has died in a boating accident. It happened Saturday morning in Possum Hollow Cove at Lake of the Ozarks. Missouri Highway Patrol says the man's kayak overturned. He never resurfaced. His body was recovered Sunday. A few hours later, a 46-year-old man attempted to pull swimmers to shore, but he went under the water and a short time later was pronounced dead at a hospital. MHP's Troop F reports this is the second drowning this month and the fourth this year.
It involves that many people, and it's such a large, devastating disaster. It takes a toll on the men and women that were out there for sure.
Boone County Assistant Fire Chief Gail Blumenkamp talking about the mission completed by Missouri Task Force 1 in Kerrville, Texas. They were deactivated by FEMA Saturday night and are leaving for home this morning.
We have a debriefing. We just welcome them home. We talk to them about their mission and kind of give them a rundown of what it was, because they lose track of even what day it is, let alone, what has really occurred outside of what they've been focused on. So we give them a debriefing. There are counselors available. We have an EAP program, an employee assistance program, that all of them can participate in if they want.
Blumenkamp says the task force members have those same resources through their home fire departments, or Boone County will provide the help. Either way, it's confidential. Task Force 1 first responders came from over 200 different departments within Missouri.
Nuclear energy and the MU research reactor were key topics at Thursday's Missouri Nuclear Summit. Missouri Department of Natural Resources Director Kurt Schaefer said the reactor connects to decades of underused nuclear advancements, and the summit helped bring those technologies back into focus.
That's everything from energy delivery to nuclear medicines like the radioisotopes that are developed at the MU research reactor, and not only supplied in the United States, they're supplied all over the world to help people fight cancer.
The MU research reactor is the most powerful university research reactor in the United States, operating at 10 megawatts.
The Maryland Heights City Council has approved the tearing down of an historic 120-year-old home to make way for a $24 million assisted living facility from Harmony Homes. The developers said the 7,000-square-foot home, which had once been the Normandy Athletic Club but had been vacant for decades, was in derelict condition. Harmony Homes of Sunset Hills is planning a 6-building project on those 10 acres that, according to the Business Journal, will create smaller houses rather than large institutions inside an existing residential neighborhood to give more of a home-like atmosphere.
Emos is selling its downtown West headquarters campus by City Museum, but they're not planning to go anywhere. They're apparently looking to sell the 4+ acre campus that includes their production facility and then rent this space from the new owner. The parcels have an appraised value of more than $4 million, but no asking price was included in the marketing materials. Emos, founded in 1964, opened their new headquarters on 16th and Delmar in 2016.
It's 6:08, traffic and weather in 2 minutes.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:10. Let's get you caught up on your ride in. And you might want to give yourself some extra time this morning and just be a little patient. Roger Brand can explain why from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, plenty of crashes already out there this morning, either currently being worked or just been recently cleared. Standing water issues, a lot of them spin outs. So just be prepared and be careful. Road conditions very changeable. Looks like places I'm checking on right now getting a little bit of a breather from the heavier downpour, so that's a good sign. But they're still working a crash in North County westbound 270 before 367. They may have the right lane blocked. Sort of hard to tell. It's just slow at Bell Fountain. We've got this crash eastbound 70 west of Wentzville Parkway. Mentioned at the top of the hour. Left lane is shut down right now. Only the right lane open. It's a solid jam back through David Hochul Parkway on eastbound 70 because of that one. They're working a crash, multi-vehicles and lanes blocked downtown westbound 64 west of Grand, about midway between there and Boyle. Traffic's jammed back past Grand. Looks like only the right lane getting by there. Northbound 55, you've got slow stuff beginning south of McNutt all the way up through Highway Z. North of M up to Imperial, there's a crash there. The right lane's bogged down Butler Hill to 270. And then there's another minor crash reported around Virginia, and it's just a little slow at that point. They're working multiple vehicles that had spun out or are off the roadway on eastbound 44 just before Highway 50, Highway O. A little bit of a delay as you come down the hill there in Franklin County, so be careful. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
An extreme heat warning through Thursday. AccuWeather real field temperatures reach 105 today, tomorrow over 110 Wednesday and Thursday. We also have a flood watch through 1 this afternoon. Thunderstorms with torrential downpours will taper off this morning, but flash flooding will persist in many areas. Expect significant travel disruptions and avoid flooded areas. Clouds give way to some sun this afternoon, high 90. Partly cloudy, warm and sticky tonight, though 76. Tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid, just a chance of an afternoon thunderstorm, high 94. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Rain and 74 degrees right now in downtown St. Louis. Weather sponsored by Chuck's Boots, the Midwest's largest boot stores. Boots for every walk of life. Rugged work boots, stylish fashion, comfortable hiking boots, cowboy classics, uniform boots, and motorcycle gear. Chuck's Boots in Fenton and St. Peter's, chucksboots.com.
The news continues at 6:13. The Justice Department is requesting that all grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case be released as calls grow louder for greater transparency by the Trump administration.
The president posted multiple messages on social media over the weekend, one of them saying, quote, "Nothing will be good enough for the people who are demanding all files related to the Epstein case be made public." Those comments as the DOJ requested all grand jury files be made public. That sentiment echoed by Alan Dershowitz, one of Epstein's former lawyers, speaking on Fox News Sunday.
I think the judge should release it, but they're not in the grand jury transcripts. They're sealed records by 2 or 3 federal judges in the New York courts.
Dershowitz says the truly noteworthy aspects of the case are not found in the grand jury transcripts, but in other areas.
The information that hasn't been requested is going to be far more informative and far more relevant than the grand jury information. Grand jury information is narrowly tailored by prosecutors only to provide sufficient evidence to result in an indictment.
Dershowitz says Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman convicted of grooming young women for Epstein's underage sex ring, is the one person who can shed the most light on the Epstein case and who may have participated in illegal acts.
She knows everything. She is the Rosetta Stone.
Last week, Republican Congressman Tim Burchett asked House Committee Oversight Chair James Comer in a letter to subpoena Maxwell to appear before the committee to tell all she knows. Burchett tells ABC's This Week, releasing the grand jury files is a good next step.
I applaud the president and Attorney General Bondi for wanting to release the grand jury files. I believe that'll pretty much cover everything. But I would give everybody a caveat, or that's a big word, but a warning, that just because somebody flew on a plane doesn't mean they're a dadgum pedophile.
Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar on CNN State of the Union says it's ridiculous for Trump to blame Democrats for any aspect of the Epstein files.
So the president blaming Democrats for this disaster, Jake, is like that CEO that got caught on camera blaming Coldplay, okay? Like, this is his making.
On Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had sent a lewd letter to Epstein for his 50th birthday. The president now suing the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion over that report. A CBS News poll out Sunday finds 36% of Americans believe the Epstein case matters a lot in their evaluation of Trump's presidency, but just 11% of Republicans. John Stolnis, Washington.
This was before the Cardinals got swept by the Diamondbacks yesterday. A 5-3 loss at Arizona in which Miles Mikolas was blown up early again, gave up 4 runs in the first inning. Adam Wainwright, one of the greatest Cardinals pitchers of his generation, talking on Sports on a Sunday Morning about the direction of the Cardinals at the trade deadline in 10 days.
Yeah, and that's the way it's always been. You know, we've always had a chance. Going into spring training, you always said, you know what, we could win the World Series this year. And I would say for maybe the last couple of years, that's really not what everybody's expectations in the city have been. And that's probably a foreign feeling to a Cardinal fan. That's a foreign feeling to me, for sure. Going into this season, I thought, okay, I think they're going to compete. I don't know. When I look around the league, I mean, you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Phillies, you look at the Mets, the teams that have really spent a lot of money on the marquee players. It's hard to say that you can compete with those guys unless you go out and do something, or unless you develop your players really, really well in the minor leagues. And our system was a few years behind, seemingly, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do at the break, because you could see them trade 3, 4, 5 players, and you could see them trade 1 or 2 and try to make a go of it. I always go back. We were 10.5 games back in September on September 1st, 2011, 10.5 games back. But we had the right guys on the team to make that work. So being right now, what are they, 7.5 back? Is that something like that?
8.5 in the division, yeah.
8.5 in the division, but only 3.5 in the wild card. Is that right?
2.5. Yeah.
2.5. So you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. We saw Arizona go all the way to the World Series 2 years ago. I mean, you just never, ever know if you get hot at the right time. Can this team get hot? Yeah, this team's proven this year they can get hot. They can win a lot of games. So I think if they want to compete, they're going to have to move a couple of people and bring some people in. I do think that. I just don't know if that's what the plan is. It's hard to know. I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea.
Adam Wainwright on Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX. The Cardinals are 8.5 out in the division, 3.5 out in the wild card, only 2 games over 500. They visit the Rockies tonight on KMOX. Scotty Scheffler wins the Open Championship, his 4th major. He is a 2-time Masters champion, PGA champion earlier this year, and now he has won the Open for the first time. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals. More from Adam Wainwright on the way at 622, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
In 60, a look back at the latest St. Louis City SC match, presented by Woods Basement Systems, Inc.
Swing one in from the right side, low ball settled by Musa, drops it back, they score. Flung,
with authority into the upper 90 by the 19-year-old Kaike. Musa reasons it out. Creeps to the ball. Right foot, he scores. Lower corner, off to Berkey's right. To the left side, floated Musa. Clever chest down and turn. He'll slot it by Berkey. Final score, FC Dallas 3, St. Louis City 0.
Up next, City SC faces Minnesota United FC Saturday night. Kick at 7:30 on Y98.
Tripping over uneven concrete? Don't replace it, raise it with concrete leveling. Call the all things basement-y experts, Wood Basement Systems, for a free estimate at 618-249-5503 or learn more at woodsbasementsystems.com.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:20. It is just a rainy, stormy morning, and we're going to get you where you need to go, hopefully safely. Just be careful out there. Let's get the latest on your ride in from Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's dicey out there, Debbie. Obviously, this traffic report's a service of S&L Coins. You just have to slow down, folks. I mean, there could be standing water issues. All this rain we've had anywhere, it's a possibility, and the rain's sort of coming in waves. Some places it's not as bad as others, so just keep your eyes on the road. Plan on a longer commute, and maybe it won't be that long, and you'll be surprised and get someplace early and maybe a little bit more refreshed than if you're hustling in a hurry and then slide off the roadway like so many of these folks have. Still this crash with the right lane at least partially blocked, westbound 270 before 367. A little bit of a slowdown there, really. They're still working the crash. Eastbound 70 west of Wentzville Parkway, left lane's closed. Traffic's jammed back past the David Hochul Parkway because of that one. Southbound 170 south of 270, or a report of a crash. I can't see it. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a vehicle off the roadway. Traffic looks okay through there right now. Still working the multi-vehicle crash downtown. Westbound 64 west of Grand. Right lane's all it's getting through. Traffic's jammed back through the Grand Forest Park exit. If you're on northbound 55, we've got a backup approaching McNutt. There's another jam up north of M up to Imperial because of a crash. It's slow north of Merrimack Bottom, about midway between there and Butler Hill, up through Madison, a little busy Loughborough, up through Virginia. And they're still working the multi-vehicle slide-off eastbound 44 just before Highway 50, and it's a little heavy there as well. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
S&L Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call S&L. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. S&L Coin.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg telling us the rain will eventually taper off this morning, looking at possibly 8 o'clock this morning. We'll keep an eye on this radar, but man, the torrential downpours have really gotten us. And as Roger said, please slow down. There's standing water on the roadways. Areas of flash flooding will persist through the morning. Expect significant travel disruptions. Avoid flooded areas. This afternoon, clouds will break for some sun, a high near 90, but we are in a flood watch through 1 p.m. We are in a flash flood warning in several parts of the area, and that is going to stay in effect this morning for quite a while. Tonight, partly cloudy, warm and sticky, low 76. Currently rain and 74 downtown. I had a chance to visit with Adam Wainwright, the Cardinals pitcher turned Savannah Banana on Friday as we lighten the mood a little bit. You heard him at 6:15 talking about the Cardinals' current situation, really struggling, but looking ahead to the future. Well, let's turn it back a few days to Waino on Friday night. The buzz in the crowd in that packed house on Friday when they kind of realized that you were coming must have been amazing for you to hear.
It was, man. I'll tell you, it was a special night. My wife and my oldest daughter got to be there with me as well. They'll never forget that either. But you know, what a cool thing they're doing. The Savannah Bananas have figured out marketing. They figured out fan interaction levels that I've never seen before. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like a WWE fight mixed with baseball, mixed with like the circus mix. I mean, it was crazy. You know, it's just a wild show, but it really is a show. And those guys are talented. You know, most of them, I think 85% of them played professional baseball at some level or came out of D1 college if they didn't. And, you know, they're talented baseball players, but they're entertainers. And they put on quite a show, man. And I was exhausted just watching them the first 3 innings. I'm like, oh my goodness, man, this is nonstop. But, you know, when I talked to Jesse Cole, the owner, before the games, and and he was we were standing out on the field, and he looked up at like the very top of the upper deck. He's like, you know what I'm looking at in a big giant stadium like this is I'm wondering, how do I get players up there and then get them back down in time to play, and how do I get them up there, and how do I get interaction here and here, and the whole thing is about fan engagement, and they've mastered it. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. I have not attended one in person yet, but of course they've become a sensation on social media, and now they grow, they sell out wherever they go. I got to think they're coming back big time. I mean, St. Louis was all over that. And I got to think at some point you'll probably bring yourself back to becoming a Savannah Banana, the Georgia native himself, Adam Wainwright.
Well, I had a blast doing it, and they're so welcoming, and the players are just man, they're so gracious, and they're just amazing people, and they love making people smile. And that's what they're out there for. Those guys they're not getting paid like big league athletes. They're playing out there because they love the game, and they love making people happy. And that's what they're doing, and they love entertaining. But what's funny, I'll tell you a quick story in March, where the game was supposed to be played in March. And I had, when I got done playing, I took a year off from pretty much everything. Like, I didn't play golf. I didn't work out. I had my arm in a sling for, a couple of months. I had shoulder surgery, and I was doing other things. I was playing music. I was gardening. I was farming, all kinds of stuff. But I wasn't working out at all. And so, Bananas asked me to join them in March, and I took a couple months to get back in shape, because I'm like, all right, I don't want to embarrass myself. Let me get out there and, do well. And I started throwing bullpens, and I was throwing bullets. I was throwing better than I have in years. And I partially tore my rotator cuff getting ready on one of my bullpen sessions. And so what you saw the other night was me re-injuring it in warm-ups. I thought I'd scarred it over enough to be okay, but what you saw the other night was me going about half speed, little sidewinder action, flipping some slow curves in there. Those guys aren't used to seeing 55-mile-an-hour curveballs. And but it was so fun, man. I'll never forget it. It was just a great time.
Adam Wainwright on Sports on a Sunday Morning. Our full conversation on the Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast at KMOX.com. You never know who's going to pop up on the show, and Waino led our show yesterday. He also, as you heard in the 615 Sportscast, had some interesting comments and thoughts on the Cardinals starting rotation and what's to come for them with Chaim Bloom taking over for John Mozeliak. Again, Sports on a Sunday Morning with Adam Wainwright at 10:05 yesterday.
It is 6:27. The time check is sponsored for you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original. They are the garage door company in St. Louis. Everybody knows that by now. And if you don't have one, it's okay. They can come over and take a look at your garage door right now and tune it up for you. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis does that for every brand of garage door. And no, they're not going to come over and then say, yeah, you need a whole new garage door and try to sell you on something. But they will take your old door if you want to sell it to them. It's called Cash for Clunkers. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, paying cash for old garage doors. They will haul away your old garage door as well and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door, $100 for each additional door. You can cash in your old entry door too. Cash for Clunkers at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free in-home estimates. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlouis.com, or call 314-781-5200.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
You've heard of Old Town Donuts, but did you know they were voted the best donut shop in America? That's right, and they've got 2 locations right here in Florissant and Cottleville. Stop by Old Town Donuts today and see why they're the best donuts in the country.
Soccer fans, St. Louis City SC hosts English Premier League giants, the Aston Villa Football Club. Wednesday, July 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Energizer Park. Reserve your seat for this historic match now at stlcitysc.com/tickets. St. Louis City versus Aston Villa, presented by Purina.
It is 6:30 and it is a rainy morning. We've got more rain coming in downtown right now. It's 74 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it looks like this crash on northbound 55, Tom, is either on the right lane or at the end of the on-ramp coming on from McNutt on northbound 55. It's really hard to see from my vantage point right now, but there is a jam north of Highway A up to that crash scene. There also is a crash North 55, I've been talking about it, just south of Imperial. Traffic's still a little backed up coming through the Imperial area, and then it's slow midway between Merrimack Bottom and Butler Hill up to 270. After that, not so bad. Southbound 55, Bates, Holly Hills area looks a little heavy. North 270 doing all right. Seeing a backup approaching Butler Hill on northbound Tesson Ferry right now. Still working with at least a couple of those spin-out crashes. Vehicles off the roadway. Eastbound 44 west of Highway 50, Highway O. It's slow coming down the hill there in Franklin County. They cleared the crash eastbound 70 west of Wentzville Parkway. It looks like things are back on the go for you there. I'm seeing a little slowdown eastbound 64 before you get to Highway K downtown. They're still working that multi-vehicle crash westbound 64 west of Grand, jammed back through that Forest Park Grand exit. And then in North County, they still have that crash off to the right side, westbound 270 before 367. Slow traffic back at Bell Fountain, and southbound 170 near Frost. That was an injury crash. There's a little heavy traffic through there as well. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
So we've got 2 things going on today. We've got a flood watch through 1 p.m. and we've got an extreme heat warning in effect through Thursday. So today, thunderstorms with torrential downpours gradually tapering off this morning. So by afternoon, clouds breaking for some sun with a high near 90, but it may feel as hot as 105 today with all the humidity. And then tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid, maybe a stray afternoon thunderstorm, high of 94. It could be Wednesday and Thursday feel as hot as 110. Right now, it's 74 degrees.
It's 6:32. Residents of Darting Lake Estates in St. Peters are worried their concerns on a proposed AT&T cell tower going up on the grounds of a nearby church are falling on deaf ears.
KMOX talked with residents. One of them, David Perrick, says they went to the planning and zoning meeting to express their concerns, but the commission advanced the special use permit to the St. Peters Board of Aldermen for a first reading this Thursday evening.
We're worried about how that's going to affect property values. A 100-foot tower is going to, change the visual landscape of the neighborhood.
And while the Darting Lake Estates residents we talked to know there are studies that say there are no health risks, Paul Lucas says the 6 to 7 acre parcel of land where the church is located is too close for comfort.
Now, that is literally a half a block down my street. That's where that land is. And now the church, I understand they don't have a problem with it being there because they are going to get a substantial amount of money from AT&T, for leasing the land to them.
Victor Ashley tells KMOX this cell phone tower violates St. Peter's own zoning laws.
In the zoning map shows that this is R1 residential land all the way up to Salt Lake Road. That includes the whole area of 2050 Salt Lake Drive, which is Gateway Church's property.
Ashley adds, while he brought this issue up at the zoning commission meeting, the city has had no response. This Thursday evening 6:30 meeting will be at the St. Peter's Board of Aldermen. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Residents have started a change.org petition to halt construction of the cell tower.
Could the St. Louis Post-Dispatch be locally owned soon? David Hoffman of the Hoffman family of companies is offering to invest $25 million in the paper company, which would increase his number of shares in Lee Enterprises from 10% to 50%. According to the Business Journal, Lee's board would have to approve the transaction. Hoffman says his firm is friendly to Lee and might even kick in another $25 million, giving him an 80% stake in Lee, which he says would allow the company to catch up on missed debt payments brought on by a cyber attack earlier this year. Hoffman Media recently purchased the Washington, Missourian newspaper firm. Lee owns newspapers in 72 markets in 25 states.
It's 6:34. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Hey guys, Dave and Rach here for our good friends at Smart Mouth. So it is unique by the very definition of the word. It's the only mouth rinse out there with 2 chemicals that combine to prevent bad breath for 24 hours a day with just 2 rinses a day.
Never have bad breath again. You can find Smart Mouth locally at Schnucks and Deerbergs or at Walgreens, Walmart, and Amazon. Visit smartmouth.com to snag a special discount on your next Smart Mouth purchase. That's smartmouth.com/Glover.
How many of you think taxes are going to go up in the future? And if they do, who will be hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Tuesday, August 26th or Thursday, August 28th at Fleming's. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
It is 6:36. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman. We'll check in with Roger Brand and our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg, here in just a moment. But first, it's time for Your Money Report, sponsored by Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, elder law attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Apple is working on a foldable iPhone to be introduced at the end of next year as it enters the foldable market dominated by rival Samsung. There's still not much sign of the long-feared surge in U.S. consumer prices as a result of President Trump's trade war. Underlying measures of inflation for June, published this past week, came in lower than expected for a 5th straight month. There was evidence some goods targeted by tariffs are getting a little more expensive, like toys and household appliances, but overall inflation is tame. But Governor Chris Waller thinks the labor market's not doing as well as everyone thinks, and an interest rate cut may be in order. And the digital asset industry getting a big win, with President Trump signing the first federal bill to regulate stable coins. He hails it as a step toward U.S. dominance of crypto. The measure requires firms to hold dollar-for-dollar reserves in short-term government debt or similar products overseen by regulators. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
Hey, Banner Construction's there for you. Don't worry. Siding, windows, the best in the business. Home restoration has many choices, but the biggest choice is, who do you trust with your most valuable asset, your home? Well, Banner Construction will step in. Since 1993, few companies have been able to match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. You know, Mother Nature, like today, constantly assaults the exterior of your home, especially in St. Louis, and that's why Banner is dedicated to pairing high-end products with high-end craftsmanship. An elite preferred James Hardie contractor, a certified Pella window specialist, Banner Construction has been a full-service exterior home remodeler for over 30 years. Here's their phone number, 314-569-1050, 314-569-1050 for a free in-home consultation. Or you can take some time and just visit bannerconstruction.com and see for yourself and have a banner day.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and relevant life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start August 13th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SHEV.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for 213 Complex, which is available at supplement superstores. Look, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed, and here's why. It optimizes thyroid function, and it boosts your metabolism 24 hours a day. Yeah, while you're sleeping too. So you're burning more stored body fat. Also getting that appetite and craving control that I love. You get all-day focused energy with no jitters. So all you need to do is get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off 213 Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It is 6:40 on a rainy Monday morning. We'll get you updated on what the forecast has in store for us. But first, let's tell you what the situation is on your ride in. It hasn't been great so far this morning. Roger Brand's got the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, we still keep having crashes around the area, Debbie. This traffic reports the service of Metro Transit. Looking at one right now, eastbound 64, I guess we'll call it west of K. It's on the right shoulder, so at least it's not blocking anything. Police just pulled up their delays back through Winghaven, almost back to 364 on eastbound 64. That's unfortunately a fatality crash. It's still out there in North County. Westbound 270 before 367 delays, still back through Bell Fountain. Westbound 64 working a multi-vehicle crash where left lanes were shut down west of Grand. Traffic still jammed back past that Forest Park Grand exit. Northbound 55, it looks to me like they cleared the crash just north of McNutt. It's still a solid jam back near Highway A. However, there's a little slowdown in Imperial. We had an earlier crash. It's busy around Butler Hill after that. North 270 north of Gravois, north of 44 to Big Bend and approaching Manchester. We have slowdowns around there as well. And South 170 still heavy off 270 down through Frost because of a recent crash. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
We are Metro Transit. We don't just help ourselves and our neighbors get where we need to be. We help our whole region get where we want to be. Get on board at rideonmetro.org.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg, we're tired of the rain. We're done. When is it over?
Enough is enough already. I mean, there's still some pockets of pretty heavy rain, thunder, lightning, southeast of the city right now from Redwood to Baldwin up to New Athens. That's moving east. The rest of the immediate area has the rain's still falling, obviously, although there's a break now out toward Wentzville and O'Fallon where there's been somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 inches of rain from this and obviously some flash flooding. Still some rain and thunderstorms upstream from there. The whole area, though, is gradually weakening as we expect it to continue to do as we go deeper into the morning commute and head toward lunchtime. Once we get past lunchtime, I think all the rain's done, but we'll have to clean up the messes from all the heavy rain and flooding that we've seen overnight. Later today, enough sun to get back to 90 and real feels over 100. It's going to be a pretty brutal day. We've got an extreme heat warning in effect all the way through Thursday. Tonight, partly cloudy, mid-70s. Tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid. Just a stray afternoon thunderstorm. Most areas dry, the high 94. And we crank up the heat toward 100 both Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon Thursday, a better chance Friday. Temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Right now, 72 in St. Peter's, 73 in Florissant, rain and 74 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:43 and the news continues. If you still haven't filed for FEMA assistance following the May 16th tornado in St. Louis County, you've got to do it by this coming Thursday. You'll have to go to one of the city disaster centers otherwise in the city.
That's because the St. Louis County centers are closing permanently, but the city's 3 locations will remain open. They're at Sumner High School on Cottage Avenue, Urban League Entrepreneurship and Women's Business Center on Natural Bridge, and Union Tabernacle MB Church on North Newstead. Now, you're encouraged to file for FEMA assistance before going to one of those centers. You can do that at disasterassistance.gov. You can also call 1-800-621-3362. Now, if you cannot apply online or by phone, someone at one of the disaster recovery centers will assist you. The FEMA application deadline for help from the May 16th tornado is August 11th. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
It appears the controversy over the Jeffrey Epstein files isn't going away anytime soon.
But KMOX Republican analyst John Hancock believes the lawsuit President Trump filed against the Wall Street Journal will get dropped. He says the president doesn't want to go through the discovery process.
I think he filed that suit to give his supporters, the ability to say, see, there's nothing really here. Well, there's clearly something really here.
Democrat Michael Kelly says Trump has stepped in it big time with his supporters.
People who were motivated by this issue truly believed that Donald Trump was going to be a savior and bring forward the truth here. And the reality is that he appears to be just like every other politician. He says one thing and does another.
In one of the most recent developments, the president has called for the release of grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
Who's hot, who's not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting. The Cardinals certainly are not. 4-11 in their last 15 games. Swept at Arizona coming out of the All-Star break. 5-3, the loss yesterday. Cardinals 8.5 out in the division, 3.5 out in the wild card. 2 games over 500. That's what we should be talking about. They are 2 games over 500. And so, moving forward, after 100 games, 62 to go, the Cardinals have 10 days to go until the trade deadline. Talked about that and more with Adam Wainwright, the former Cardinal. Let's hear a little bit more of that conversation. This is Wainwright discussing his return to the mound as a pitcher for the Savannah Bananas on Friday. My daughter, who told me that we were on a plane coming back from San Diego, and we landed, and she goes, Dad, and she showed me her phone, and it was you going out on the field. She broke the news to me. Such a neat thing. How long did you spend? Were you in the Cardinals clubhouse? Were you down in that area?
I was up in they kind of hid me up in this donor suite, kind of above the third baseline, and they had me kind of tucked back in there, and then they kind of snuck me back in the back, like behind everything, ran me through the tunnel real quick, and they wanted to keep it a secret so bad, just so that reaction would be, authentic. And I'll tell you, the walking out on the field when Jesse was saying, former player, 3-time All-Star, or whatever he was saying, World Series champ, the crowd started getting a buzz of like what was about to happen. And I'll tell you, man, that's a feeling as special as it gets for a former player. And somebody who holds St. Louis in such high regard as I do. It's like home for us and our family, and the organization that I just love so much, and it means so much to me, and fan base that means so much to me, city that means so much to me. To get that kind of response was, man, it just it makes you almost cry out there. It's just really special.
That's Adam Wainwright on Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX. He had some thoughts about the Cardinals' current situation. That can be found on our Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast page at KMOX.com. Shifting now to golf, as KMOX's Dan Reardon reports on the Open Championship won by the #1 player in the world.
How dominant has Scottie Scheffler become in the game of golf? Every player interviewed after their round on Sunday at the Open was asked about Scheffler, most before he had finished. John Rahm remembered he launched him with a Ryder Cup loss to him on Sunday at Hazeltine. Boyhood friend Jordan Spieth said Scheffler didn't care to be a superstar. And Sunday, playing partner Ha-Tung Lee asked him if Scottie would practice with him when he comes to the States. Scheffler made it 4 major wins in 3 years with a final day 3 under 68, 17 under at Royal Portrush, and 4 shots clear of the field. When Scottie was asked about himself, he said, "This is amazing to win the Open Championship. But at the end of the day, having success in life, whether it be in golf, work, whatever it is, that is not what fulfills the deepest desires of your heart." Champion Golfer of the Year, Scottie Scheffler. Reporting on the Open, Dan Reardon for KMOX Radio Sports.
Enjoy your outdoor space this spring with vegetable gardens and fresh landscaping. St. Louis Composting is going to make your yard look great this summer. Order online for delivery, or you can pick up premium soil, compost, and mulch at any of their 9 locations. This rain might wash away some of your mulch and soil. You might need a refill on that. St. Louis Composting can do that for you. They transform organic yard waste like branches, leaves, grass clippings into premium compost. compost, soil blends, mulches. St. Louis Composting has it all. They're the best in the business. 9 facilities in St. Louis. Go to stlcompost.com or do what we did. Just order for delivery to your home or job site. stlcompost.com.
As a member of Quiver River Electric Cooperative, you're more than just a customer. You're part of something special. Our co-op is owned by you, the community, meaning your voice matters. We exist to provide a service to you. Together with cooperatives like ours across the state and country, we're working to strengthen our grid, innovate with new technologies, and share valuable knowledge to build a stronger, more sustainable future for everyone. That's the cooperative difference. Quiver River Electric Cooperative, powering our communities together.
Experience the magic of the Fabulous Foxes 2025-2026 Broadway season, which includes the return of St. Louis favorite, The Phantom of the Opera, and the spellbinding spectacular Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And right now, KMOX has your chance to win a pair of season tickets for the 2025-2026 season. Prize package includes a pair of tickets for all 8 shows in the subscription package. Register now online at KMOX.com/contests for your chance to win.
Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:50. We're going to check in with our CBS News business analyst, Jill Schlesinger, here in just a minute. After we check in with traffic and weather, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We've still got a few of our crashes out there, Debbie, right now. This traffic reports service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. One of them is, unfortunately, a fatal crash that occurred earlier this morning, still out there. The first one we were talking about, westbound 270 before 367. The right lane may be blocked, sort of hard to tell from my vantage point. Traffic does slow, though, back to the Illinois side of the Chain Rocks Bridge. It's sort of in stretches through there. Looks like they cleared the crash south 170 at Frost. We have a new crash eastbound 70 just before Bryan Road. Traffic's jammed at Lake St. Louis Boulevard up to that one. That one on the right shoulder, eastbound 64 west to K, has a backup pretty close to 364 right now. If you're on northbound 270, you've got slow stuff north of Sappington through Gravois, Doherty Ferry up through Manchester. After that, it's not so bad. Northbound 55, still a backup. Most of the way up through McNutt. We had an earlier crash at the McNutt on-ramp. They cleared that. After that, though, it's in good shape. Still seeing delays northbound Tesson Ferry, south of Butler Hill. Could be signal issues. And still working this crash. Multiple vehicles involved. Westbound 64 west of Grand, jammed back past that Forest Park Grand exit. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we heard Joe talking earlier about the radar showing rain starting to taper off in Wentzville, and he said that some areas received 5 inches of rain. That's unreal. And we've just had rain pouring down since very, very early this morning. Right now, taking a look at the radar, it is moving out to the southeast. And as we sit here right now at 6:52, we are looking at rain throughout the St. Louis area, but as he said, starting to fade a little bit in the far reaches of St. Charles County. West County is next, and then eventually this goes away. But we are in a flood watch through 1 p.m. Flash flood warnings in several areas of St. Louis right now. A 74-degree temperature is going to crank up to 90 this afternoon, low of 76 tonight, 94 for the high tomorrow. Currently, it's 74 downtown.
6:53, time to check in with our CBS News business analyst, Jill Schlesinger. And Jill, there's so much finger pointing and weirdness to talk about, but let's start with President Trump apparently forgot he's the one who nominated Jerome Powell in 2017, but he also said he's been trying to get him to quit, and Jerome's like, no. And they called him a very stupid person, a low IQ person, and when that didn't work, now he's saying he's, I don't know, trying to defraud taxpayers with a redesign. Anyway, what does this mean for us?
Did you hear Federal Reserve, everyone, and say, like, I don't care about this? You should. This is me getting everyone pumped up. Okay. The Federal Reserve is so important to most Americans because either we borrow money or we're savers. And sometimes we're a little bit of both. That's almost every single person in this economy. Very few people walk through their entire working lives and don't borrow a dime and don't save a dime. So This is why the Fed is important. They're controlling the interest rates that determine how much it costs to borrow money and how much interest you earn when you save money. And the big beef, which is really a one-way beef, which is not I don't know if you can describe it as a beef, but the president's big beef with the Fed is, hey, Fed, you should be lowering interest rates. Interest rates are too high, bad for the housing market. Also, when we have to pay interest on our debt, because we borrow a lot of money as a country, it costs too much money. All right. There is some point to all of this. I'm going to get there. The Fed is saying, hey, Mr. President, funny you should mention that debt because you just added to the debt with a big, beautiful bill. So that's not the driving force here. But your policy of tariffs could actually keep us in a place where we have to keep interest rates high because some of those tariffs could start bleeding into the economy and causing inflation to tick up. It's just starting right now. But the Fed's position has been, come on, Mr. President, we just want to wait to see how these tariffs actually hit the economy when we get a bunch of different reports.
And how do consumers respond to all of that?
You know, it's a funny thing because on one hand, consumers are really smart. The housing market has stood still because of two things. Number one is that with interest rates high and mortgage rates high, if you have a house and you've got a low interest rate, you're not willing to move yet. You're just like, all right, I'll make sure I will be busting at the seams. I'm not giving up my 2.85% 30-year fixed loan. So we don't have a lot of houses listing. And then on the other hand, if you want to buy a home and you're renting, those mortgage interest rates are high and housing prices really have gone up like by 45% in the last 5 years. So it's very unaffordable to buy a home. So I think in the real estate market, people are acting very rationally. I think consumers are frustrated if they have debt. But if you don't have debt or you have that low interest debt that's locked in, you're feeling really good because you're like, well, these high interest rates, it's nice for my savings account. So when consumers are looking at the situation, what's fascinating is it really depends who you are in this economy. And forgetting about all the finger pointing and the beef that's going on from the president to the Fed, all you really care about is, do I have a job? Am I getting a raise? Can I afford what I'm buying? And it's hard because a lot of consumers have a point in that because prices went up so much, even though the rate of increase has slowed down dramatically, prices are still high, and it's hard for a lot of American families. So I kind of hear it from all sides in some respects. The Fed's going to meet in a couple of weeks. They're not going to do anything. They're not. And this whole argument's going to continue to reignite.
Jill Schlesinger, our CBS News business analyst, JillOnMoney.com. Have a great week.
Take care.
It's 6:57.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your
Happy birthday to the Mad Hungarian, Al Raboski. He's going into the Cardinals Hall of Fame this season. He is 76.
The birthday shout out sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Jan Mihalik, sorry. Happy 52nd to Chris Schaefer. Loretta Holdener is celebrating. Happy 30th, Alex Adam from Grandma and Grandpa Adams. Lois Adam from Bob, his wife of 64 years. Also, Chris Hall from the Church Chicks. That's a belated one. That was my bad. Sorry, Chris. Happy birthday wishes going out to Jim Kavanaugh, Stacy Switzer, Matt Dorman, and Derek Gould.
Best birthday ever. Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are discussing immunotherapy and how an innovative immunotherapy is showing promise against aggressive T-cell cancers. Joining us is Dr. John DiPersio, WashU Medicine bone marrow transplant specialist with Siteman Cancer Center. Dr. DiPersio, it's great to have you on KMOX.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
How is immunotherapy different than chemotherapy?
Yeah, so chemotherapy just attacks cells that are primarily dividing, and it kills those cells that are preferentially dividing, whereas immunotherapy can attack both resting and dividing cells, and really depends on just the presence of a certain protein on the surface of these cells that defines them as lymphoma cells or a type of lymphoma or leukemia cells.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu. It's 7 o'clock. We will check in with CBS News momentarily. Let's give you the forecast right now. We're looking at rain falling and falling constantly, but starting to taper off here in the St. Louis area. We're looking at 74 degrees right now. We're going to get a high near 90 degrees by the time we're all done here. Right now, we have rain falling, tapering off already in Wentzville, West County, but rain continues to fall, and we are in a flash flood warning, flood advisory until 1 o'clock through most of the St. Louis area. It's 7:01. Again, we'll get to CBS here momentarily. We were not able to get it initially.
Yes, mornings.
There it is.
The WNBA is more popular than ever, but its All-Star Weekend was overshadowed by players wearing Pay Us What You Owe Us t-shirts. Kelly O'Grady is here to explain what they are fighting for. And ER visits for young kids with COVID are on the rise. Dr. John LaPook will be here to tell us why there's been a summer spike and if we should be concerned. All of that coming up. But first, here's today's eye-opener, your world in 90 seconds.
Powerful storms bring heavy rain, threatening millions with dangerous flash flooding as an oppressive heat dome settles over much of this country.
Millions of folks across the midsection of the country and the south underneath excessive heat watches, warnings, and advisories.
President Trump's approval numbers fall on a range of issues. He's also facing growing fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein case.
This town does not give up its secrets easy.
WNBA players used the All-Star game to demand more compensation from owners as the league's viewership and impact grow.
And the Trump administration is growing. Mayor Karen Bass spoke to CBS's Face the Nation about ICE raids in L.A. that have some afraid to come out of their homes.
You have people who are literally walking down the street, sitting at bus stops, selling fruit on the street. These masked men pull up in unmarked cars and jump out of the cars with rifles and detain people. So for the average citizen, it looks like it's a violent kidnapping.
Word of a big hack affecting federal and state agencies. CBS's Vicki Barker.
The hack has reportedly compromised Microsoft's SharePoint servers, which provide a platform for sharing and managing documents. The Washington Post reports U.S. federal and state agencies, universities, energy companies, and an Asian telecommunications company are among those hit.
S&P futures up 14. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A centenarian social media star has died.
He was a D-Day veteran who survived German gunfire on Normandy's bluffs in the 1940s, and then
I'm a TikTok star.
Garnered more than 1 million followers on TikTok by sharing stories about his fallen comrades.
TikTok has propelled me from a farm boy in Hope, Minnesota, to a international star.
Jake Lawson, a.k.a. Papa Jake, was cracking jokes until the end, his family says, though his stories were serious.
The stories I tell are for the benefit of those who have given their life in the service so that I could make it.
Larson was 102. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Excuse the weeds that may be marring the gardens at Prince Charles Country Estate. 11 of his 12 full-time gardeners have resigned in the past year. They claim they were overwhelmed and underpaid. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
It is 7:05, and right now we still have rain in the area. It is 75 degrees. The news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. An investigation is underway into the weekend death of a detainee at the St. Louis City Justice Center.
A preliminary report indicates before 8:30 Saturday night, there was a physical altercation between Samuel Hayes Jr. and another detainee in the cell. According to St. Louis police, whose Force Investigative Unit is handling the investigation, following the altercation, correctional staff say that Hayes would not comply with orders and was placed in a restraint chair. Around 10 o'clock Saturday night, Hayes was found unresponsive and pronounced deceased at the hospital. St. Louis police say the medical examiner will determine the cause of death. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer releasing a statement regarding that inmate's death, emphasizing her commitment to accountability and a full review of the incident. She stated that reforming the jail and ensuring the safety of those in custody are top priorities for her office. Mayor Spencer affirming that her office will support and await the St. Louis Police Department's thorough investigation and final report.
It's 7:06. The city of St. Louis has halted its minority business program.
The program qualifies businesses as minority or woman-owned, helping them compete for government projects with minority participation requirements. Mayor Kara Spencer says the anti-DEI push from the federal government prompted this move.
We are really struggling with making sure that, in particular, when it comes to our contracts and the federal funding for the airport, along with a whole host of other federal investments, are not in jeopardy.
Spencer says this hold is only temporary. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Officials in a Texas Hill Country community pummeled by the deadly flooding on July 4th say just 3 people now remain missing. That's down from nearly 100. The announcement comes after people who had previously been reported missing have since been accounted for. The reduction in the number of people on the missing list comes as the search for victims entered its 3rd week.
You know, a lot of the therapy comes from within. And those men and women talking to one another.
That's Boone County Assistant Fire Chief Gail Blomenkamp on Missouri Task Force 1 members dealing with a strain of a mission like the search and recovery in Texas. They are heading back home this morning after what will be a 17-day deployment.
They lean on each other, and, you know, people have good days, people have bad days, obviously. And that's kind of the nature of being in the fire service in general.
Chief Blomenkamp says it's important to remember the family members of the first responders as well.
Without the support of these men and women's families who've been home for 2 weeks now by themselves and taking care of business at home, without their support, we would not be able to do what we do. And along those lines, same with the employers of these men and women to, let their employee go for 14 days or 17 days. It's what it's going to be. On a moment's notice. It takes a big commitment from those employers to be able to do that.
There are over 200 Missouri Task Force 1 members, and Blomenkamp says that represents all 4 corners of Missouri.
It is 7:08. Traffic and weather are coming up next.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowes.com/delivery for more details.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology. See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Calling all soccer fans, the Premier League is coming to STL. St. Louis City SC will host English Premier League giants Aston Villa Football Club, Wednesday, July 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Energizer Park. Reserve your seat for this historic match now at stlcitysc.com/tickets. Wednesday, July 30th at 7:30 p.m. That's stlcitysc.com/tickets. St. Louis City versus Aston Villa, presented by Purina. Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a Fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Let's get you caught up on your ride in on a very wet Monday morning. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. Have things calmed down yet or gotten worse?
Yeah, it's calmed down because it seems like the weather sort of calmed down, Debbie. So it's sort of been going hand in hand. When we had the heavy downpours, we had cars, hydroplaning off the roadway and whatnot. And now the rains have seemed to have subsided around a lot of the areas. So we're still dealing with delays. We still have this jam on westbound 270. Unfortunately, that was a fatal crash that happened earlier this morning, westbound 270 before 367. They're still out there working with it. Traffic's jammed back through Lilac on westbound 270 right now. Eastbound Highway 70, we had a crash near Bryan Road. Looks like they cleared it. Traffic's still backed up between A and Lake St. Louis Boulevard up to that one. That crash is still on the right shoulder, eastbound 64 west of K. They're staying out of the right lane as a courtesy, I guess, because it's not blocked, but traffic is in that left lane jammed all the way back, almost midway between 364 and Winghaven on eastbound 64 right now. North 270, that's just a little busy at 64, not bad. Eastbound 64, a little slow. Approaching the Market Street Bernard exit, we had a minor crash. Westbound from Hampton out through Bellevue, slow from the earlier westbound crash. We had a Grand 55 around McNutt and Herculaneum's a little busy. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
KMOX AccuWeather, a flood watch through 1 this afternoon, an extreme heat warning in effect through Thursday. AccuWeather real field temperatures up to 105 today and tomorrow, over 110 Wednesday and Thursday. Thunderstorms with torrential downpours will gradually taper off this morning, but areas of flooding and flash flooding will persist the rest of the morning. Expect significant travel disruptions and avoid flooded areas. Clouds break for some sun this afternoon, high 90. Partly cloudy tonight, though 76. Tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid, a stray afternoon thunderstorm, high 94. I'm AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now we have clouds and still some rain in the area, lightly falling in downtown. It is 74 degrees.
More now on the fallout from that viral moment when his CEO was caught canoodling at a Coldplay concert.
CEO Andy Byron resigns from his job as head of Astronomer, the IT company confirming in a post over the weekend. This follows Wednesday's caught-on-camera moment cuddling with a coworker at a Coldplay concert. That's Coldplay's Chris Martin commenting on a married Byron embracing Astronomer Chief People Officer Kristen Cabot. The moment they saw themselves on the Jumbotron, Byron ducks while Cabot turns her back to the camera and hides her face. Martin then jokes either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. Astronomer is investigating and says our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability, and recently that standard was not met. I'm Julie Walker.
Stop feeding the cats. That's what city officials in Festus are telling residents, and it's not going over well with some. The Festus City Council passed a bill that bans the feeding and watering of stray cats. The city's public works director says he fields complaints about free-roaming cats gathering in large numbers where people put out food for them. Critics say this new law won't result in fewer cats. Adult female cats can have up to 4 litters a year, with as many as 6 kittens per litter. According to the Post-Dispatch, the fine for feeding feral cats is a warning for first offense, then a $100 fine, third offense $250. Cat advocates are suggesting the city embark upon a trap-neuter return program instead to curb feral cat populations.
Home sales in Missouri are up about 7% over last year. Sue Danielson reports more than 7,300 homes sold last month.
Missouri Realtors President Bobby Howe says the June numbers were strong. She says home prices did rise a bit.
Prices did go up approximately 2.5% year over year. The median selling price of being $287,000.
She says the number of homes on the market remains lower, and that's good for sellers, but tougher for buyers who may have to compete with multiple offers. Howe's advice to buyers? Get pre-qualified with a trusted, reliable lender. Sue Danielson, Missouri Net.
For the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, and for Mike Claiborne, this is Ricky Horton with our Redbird recap. The Cardinals were swept yesterday in the desert in Arizona by the Diamondbacks, who now have a 4-game winning streak, and they improved their record to 50-50. Cardinals dropped to 51-49. A close game. The Cardinals dropped it 5-3. 4 runs in the first inning for Arizona. A couple of big flies for Eugenio Suarez, who hit his 34th and 35th home run of the season. He is the National League leader in both home runs and RBIs. He's an all-star, and he now has 26 home runs in his career against the Cardinals. The Redbirds were able to get an RBI double for Jordan Walker late. Good bullpen work, but Miles Michaelis was the loser. He drops to 5-6. Tonight, the Cardinals take on the Rockies, and it'll be Michael McGreevy getting the start against Austin Gomber, former Cardinal. Our pregame show begins at 6:45. Play-by-play at 7:30. This has been your Redbird recap.
We'll make Michael McGreevy our player to bank on, brought to you by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. Now to golf.
For the 4th time in the last 3 years, Scotty Scheffler has won one of golf's majors. On Sunday, Scheffler shot 3 under 68, 17 under for the week at Royal Portrush to add the Open Championship to his trophy collection. And when Scotty wins, he makes his final 9 a victory parade. In his 4 wins, 2 Masters, the PGA, and Open Championship, his margin of victory is an improbable average of 4 shots. That was his margin on Sunday in the 153rd Open. 4 strokes over Harris English, 5 over Chris Gotterup, 6 over Wyndham Clark, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Ha-Tung Lee. Scheffler shot in the 60s all 4 days, played every 9 under par, and was over par on a hole only 4 times in 72 holes. His first shot at a career slam comes next June at the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. Reporting on the Open, Dan Reardon for KMOX Radio Sports.
Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director for St. Louis City SC, was adamant that he was disappointed with his team's performance, a 3-0 loss to FC Dallas on Saturday, to the point where he went off on his team yesterday on Sports on a Sunday Morning, saying that following that first goal scored by Dallas, their play, quote, "I honestly thought it was disgraceful." More from Pfannenstiel coming up on Total Information AM in our 745 Sportscast. You'll hear that answer at length. He did not hold back. City plays Saturday at home against Minnesota. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Well, it's July 21st, and already starting to think about 5 months from now, the Jack Buck Awards of the Missouri Athletic Club. Who will win the coveted Sports Personality of the Year for 2025? Last year, it was Eli Drinkowitz putting together back-to-back double-digit win seasons for the Missouri Tigers. Who will it be this year? The Missouri Athletic Club hosts many great award ceremonies, including the Herman Trophy. That is like the Heisman Trophy of college soccer, awarding the men and women with their awards. A national awards ceremony like the USBWA Awards, the Oscar Robertson Trophy, among those given out for the best college basketball player in America. The Blues hold their Hall of Fame ceremony there. The Baseball Writers Association of America holds the St. Louis Baseball Writers Dinner there. And on it goes. The Missouri Athletic Club hosts major events. Everybody seems to have circled the MAC downtown as their place to celebrate. MAC-STL.org.
Your home for St. Louis Cardinals baseball. 104.1 FM. KMOX.
It is 7:20. Let's get you updated on traffic and weather. We'll start with Roger Brand here in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they still got the jam, Debbie, on westbound 270 from about Lilac up to 367. That's where we had a fatal crash earlier this morning. So it's still bumper to bumper there. Eastbound 70A in through Lake St. Louis Boulevard to Bryan Road is still stacked up. We had a crash there, a couple of crashes, really. They would have that one on the shoulder on eastbound 64. West of Highway K, traffic still jammed approaching Winghaven. That's pretty solid all the way through there. A little more volume on northbound 270 now as you ramp on from 55 up through Gravois. After that, just a little busy around Ladue. Not that bad there. Still seeing that backup, a short backup, though, at least. Tesson Ferry north of Wells up to a point before Butler Hill. Northbound 55, you've still got a little slowdown through McNutt. You've got heavy traffic south of Butler Hill up to 270. And from north of Bales up through River to Pears, a little busy. Illinois side hasn't been bad. Just a little slowdown on westbound 64 at 3rd Street, but after that it opens up and it's rolling across the Poplar. Still seeing a little volume eastbound 64 before Market Street, Bernard, where we had a minor crash that they had cleared out of the way. Next update is 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says we are in a flood watch through 1 o'clock this afternoon. We are also in an extreme heat warning. That'll be in effect through Thursday. It is going to get very hot out there. Right now, looking at the radar, that rain has tapered off. It has moved, however, into the Metro East. Collinsville, O'Fallon, Belleville getting some heavy rain. Still some rain in the southern portion of the St. Louis region from Des Peres down into Sunset Hills. Webster Grove still getting wet, but anything north of 64, except for Florissant and Ferguson and areas just to the east of that, most of the rain has stopped in the St. Louis area, thankfully, because we have a lot of rain and the potential for flooding throughout this morning. A flood watch again through 1 o'clock, and then a high near 90 today, but it's going to feel like we're around 105 today and tomorrow. Currently, it's 75 degrees downtown.
The news continues at 7:22. The Justice Department is requesting that all grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case be released. Calls are growing louder for greater transparency by the Trump administration.
The president posted multiple messages on social media over the weekend, one of them saying, quote, "Nothing will be good enough for the people who are demanding all files related to the Epstein case be made public." Those comments as the DOJ requested all grand jury files be made public. That sentiment echoed by Alan Dershowitz, one of Epstein's former lawyers, speaking on Fox News Sunday.
I think the judge should release it, but they're not in the grand jury transcripts. They're sealed records by 2 or 3 federal judges in the New York courts.
Dershowitz says the truly noteworthy aspects of the case are not found in the grand jury transcripts, but in other areas.
The information that hasn't been requested is going to be far more informative and far more relevant than the grand jury information. Grand jury information is narrowly tailored by prosecutors only to provide sufficient evidence to result in an indictment.
Dershowitz says Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman convicted of grooming young women for Epstein's underage sex ring, is the one person who can shed the most light on the Epstein case and who may have participated in illegal acts.
She knows everything. She is the Rosetta Stone.
Last week, Republican Congressman Tim Burchett asked House Committee Oversight Chair James Comer in a letter to subpoena Maxwell to appear before the committee to tell all she knows. Burchett tells ABC's This Week, releasing the grand jury files is a good next step.
I applaud the president and Attorney General Bondi for wanting to release the grand jury files. I believe that'll pretty much cover everything. But I would give everybody a caveat, or that's a big word, but a warning that just because somebody flew on a plane doesn't mean they're a dadgum pedophile.
Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar on CNN's State of the Union says it's ridiculous for Trump to blame Democrats for any aspect of the Epstein files.
So the president blaming Democrats for this disaster, Jake, is like that CEO that got caught on camera blaming Coldplay, okay? Like, this is his making.
On Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had sent a lewd letter to Epstein for his 50th birthday. The president now suing the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion over that report. A CBS News poll out Sunday finds 36% of Americans believe the Epstein case matters a lot in their evaluation of Trump's presidency, but just 11% of Republicans. John Stolness, Washington.
It is 7:25, and KMOX Republican analyst John Hancock believes the lawsuit President Trump filed against the Wall Street Journal will get dropped. He says Trump does not want to go through the discovery process.
I think he filed that suit to give his supporters, the ability to say, see, there's nothing really here. Well, there's clearly something really here.
Democrat Michael Kelly says Trump has stepped in it big time with his supporters.
People who were motivated by this issue truly believed that Donald Trump was going to be a savior and bring forward the truth here. And the reality is that he appears to be just like every other politician. He says one thing and does another.
In one of the most recent developments, the president, again, as we mentioned, calling for the release of just grand jury testimony in the Epstein case.
The investigation continues into the explosion in Los Angeles at a police training facility that killed 3 LA County Sheriff's Department deputies.
A tenant who lived here a number of years ago was ex-military. He had some firearms, as well as apparently grenades. We all have storage units. Apparently the woman who currently lives in the apartment that he used to live in found these grenades in her storage unit. They were hidden in some way, or it seems like forgotten.
An explosion at a Los Angeles law enforcement training facility that killed 3 deputies is being investigated as a possible training accident.
There's a lot more that we don't know than what we do know. But our intent is to look at this from the very beginning and figure out what is it exactly that caused this tragic event.
Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna.
This is unfortunately the largest loss of life for us as the LA County Sheriff's Department since 1857.
Luna said the deputies were members of the Arson and Explosives Unit, a team that goes through in-depth training and responds to more than 1,000 calls a year. Jason Zabala with the county SWAT team knew all 3 of the deceased.
Just still kind of processing. It's been a shock to me this morning, and I'm sure it'll sink in later. But these are, like I said, we lost some of our finest deputies today.
The explosion was reported at about 7:30 a.m. at the Biscayne's training facility. It isn't immediately known what caused the explosion or what the deputies were doing at the time. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Checking that weather again, we have rain that is tapering off right now, but it is important to note that we have standing water on roadways and a flood watch through 1 p.m. Weather sponsored by Fairmount Park Casino and Racing. Sign up for a Fairmount Park Casino and Racing players card in the casino today. Win up to $100,000. Get access to comps, free slot play, gift giveaways, and promotional offers. This offer won't last long. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7:28, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Crack open an ice cold Budweiser or a Bud Zero. I had a Bud Zero. I actually had two of them yesterday. Bud Zero, non-alcoholic. And I actually enjoyed it. I thought it tasted great. And I had, as I said, a couple of them. So I thought about this. Like, what if I want a beer, but then I have to go, take the kids to somewhere or I have to get out on the road? What a great way to enjoy the taste of Budweiser and not have to worry about it. Zero alcohol in a Bud Zero. So I bought a 12-pack of Bud Zero yesterday at Deerberg's, actually. And it's good. It's ice cold Bud Zero. Now, I do love my Budweiser, and Budweiser is the king of beers. Both of them, by the way, help benefit Folds of Honor. So that's important to note. And they have been doing this now for 15 years. Budweiser has been partners with Folds of Honor, an organization rooted in supporting military families in need. Service never stops, and neither will we. This year, proceeds from every 12-pack of Budweiser and Bud Zero sold go directly to Folds of Honor. This Bud's for you.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus, offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits towards a master's. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chevy.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
It is 7:30 and it looks like the sky has brightened up just a little, but we still have rain in the area. And heavy rain in some places in the listening area. It's 74 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman, and that means wet roads, Roger Brand, overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, and we still have delays around the area, Tom. They're trying to get this crash wrapped up from earlier this morning, the fatality crash we had westbound 270 before 367. Traffic is still jammed. I think we'll call it west of Riverview, really, into that area right now on westbound 270. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, the jam not as bad, but it's still jammed from most of the way to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Had a couple of crashes out that way this morning. Eastbound 64, that crash is still on the shoulder west of Highway K. Traffic's jammed back pretty close to 364 on eastbound 64. And that's the biggest jam you have. After that is really just a slowdown down the hill from Vandeventer to Market Street, Bernard, where we had a minor crash they had cleared out of the roadway. Southbound 270 bogged down north of Olive down to 64. North 270 as you ramp on from 55, then sapping to the Gravois busy. Doherty Ferry to Manchester. 44 a little slow between Bowles and Miraz. Eastbound Highway 30 West Watson to 270 is busy. Lindbergh at the Rott Road, we have a rescue crash, serious crash. I've had a couple of call outs for EMS crews there. Northbound 55, the right lane's bogged down at Butler Hill. All lanes from Bayless up to River to Pears slow, and still just a little slowdown westbound 64 from the 70 split to 3rd Street. It's also a little busy around Greenmount Road in the construction area. Next update at 7:40 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be both rainy and very hot. So a flood watch through 1 p.m. and an extreme heat warning in effect through Thursday. Today, those thunderstorms should be tapering off this morning. And by this afternoon, we should be looking at a little bit of sunshine, a high near 90, but real field temperatures may be as hot as 105. Partly cloudy overnight with a low of 76. And then tomorrow, partly sunny. We could see a stray afternoon thunderstorm, high of 94. It'll be near 100 both Wednesday and Thursday. It's 74 degrees right now.
It's 7:32. St. Peter's residents of the Darting Lake Estates who are opposed to a 100-foot AT&T cell tower going up by their homes are concerned city officials are not listening.
Victor Ashley says St. Peter's is ignoring its own ordinance, which zones Darting Lake Estates as residential only.
In Section 405, it states specifically about wireless towers that any kind of tower, whether it be camouflaged or not, can only be built on non-residential land.
Ashley brought this up at the St. Peter's Planning and Zoning meeting, but tells KMOX the commission still approved the special use permit and advanced it to the Board of Aldermen. Ken Revenaugh tells KMOX he thought residents of Jardine Lake Estates would have a chance to voice their opposition.
But when a rather large crowd got to planning and zoning, we were told that seemed like kind of a waste of time, that both state and federal law prohibited the city from doing much of anything in the way of denying a tower in our neighborhood.
Paul Lukish has health concerns about the cell tower.
I mean, I am literally less than 1,000 feet away from this thing. Now, at 1,300 feet, it's a known fact with all the research they did and all the studies that are out there. This is very bad for us.
David Parrick says residents' hands appear to be tied.
For as long as the towers meet FCC guidelines, you can't use health risks as one of the reasons to keep them out of your neighborhood. So we're arguing the aesthetic and the property value angle.
Parrick adds the Homeowners Association president talked with the church following the zoning and commission meeting.
He was kind of met with a resounding, "We're not really interested to speak with you."
This Thursday evening at 6:30, the St. Peter's Board of Aldermen will have a first reading of the issue. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Time is running out to apply for FEMA assistance in St. Louis County. On Thursday, the county disaster centers will close permanently, but you can still apply for help in the city. The 3 centers that remain open: Union Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church on North Newstead, Urban League Entrepreneurship and Women's Business Center on Natural Bridge, and Sumner High School on Cottage Avenue. FEMA does want you to apply before going to one of the centers, though. You can do that online at disasterassistance.gov. If you cannot apply beforehand online, FEMA reps will still help you at one of those centers. The deadline to file for FEMA assistance is August 11th.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your money report next.
The heat's really been extreme last week or so. I have a wife that's going through change of life, and she woke me up 3 a.m. and said there's something wrong with the air conditioner. I checked the thermostat, and it's set at 66, and it is saying 66. Like we set it every single night. I said, okay, how do you feel? She goes, okay, well, as long as it's 66. And then within 2 minutes, all the covers are back on her, and she says she is freezing. I said, honey, the air conditioner isn't broke. Your thermostat is broke. So if you're living that way, my advice is this. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but here's what I do. I keep my laughter inside. It is real what you're feeling. You don't need to call me. You can say you called me, but you don't need to call me. Save your money. This is Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. God bless.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
It is 7:37, and you are listening to Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman. And Busey Bank sponsors this Bloomberg report for you on KMOX.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Where's the best place to retire? Bankrate survey says New England has some of the best states, while the Sun Belt has some of the worst. Those surveyed tended to focus on things like affordability rather than weather. New Hampshire was number 1, followed by Maine, Wyoming, Vermont, and Idaho. The bottom 5 are Nebraska, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana. WK Kellogg removing dyes from cereals, including Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks, by the end of 2027. It's also vowed to not introduce new products with the dyes beginning next year. And a hot Seattle oyster bar plans to start serving lab-grown salmon. The Walrus and the Carpenter will be serving the salmon from Startup Wild Type. It takes cells from Pacific salmon and grows them in tanks with added nutrients. Wild Type says its lab-grown salmon has a lower carbon impact than farm-raised and wild-caught fish, but it remains expensive. It'll currently run you about $190 a pound. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Our Idea is Ready to Launch vision. This is the Create Great Jobs vision. This is the We Need More Space vision. This is Busey, where your business visions become realizations through securing capital for growth and comprehensive strategies that ensure a prosperous future. Because thriving businesses mean thriving people and thriving communities. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home, 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Soccer fans, St. Louis City SC hosts English Premier League giants, the Aston Villa Football Club, Wednesday, July 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Energizer Park. Reserve your seat for this historic match now at stlcitysc.com/tickets. St. Louis City versus Aston Villa, presented by Purina.
It is 7:40. Let's get you a look at your ride in. Hopefully no problems, but it's been a very wet, sloppy ride in. Roger Brand's got the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
You know, we've still got delays out there, unfortunately, Debbie. This traffic reports the service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. Westbound 270, you've got pockets from the Illinois end of the Chain of Rocks Bridge over to 367 from that earlier fatal crash. So it's getting better, but still very busy. Eastbound 70, a little slow. In Lake St. Louis in a couple spots. Not that bad now, really. Eastbound 64, that crash is still out there on the right shoulder west of K. It's a solid jam from 364 into that point. South 270, looks like there could be trouble right around Ladue. Just south of Ladue, it's jammed back almost to Page. Northbound 270 from south of Tesson Ferry through Gravois and from Big Bend up to Ladue. Pretty busy on that run, but not a solid jam. Northbound 55 looks good down south, but it is still slow. Approaching Butler Hill to 270 from the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear and Loughborough through Virginia. Westbound 64 at the 70 split and across the Poplar, a little heavy for Illinois drivers. Eastbound 64 still has that stuff, that slowdown from Tower Grove to about the Market Street Bernard exit. Westbound 64, Hampton through Big Bend is slow. Chances are you have a lot of people who depend on you, your family, maybe even employees. Life insurance from Penn Mutual can provide you peace of mind and protect the most important people in your life. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. Next update is 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg, are we finished with the rain?
Not quite yet, although the biggest area of rain is now in Metro East and moving away to the east and shrinking in size and in intensity. There's another area of rain and thunderstorms upstream. That, too, is shrinking and weakening in intensity. So we're still going to get some rain and maybe a rumble of thunder downtown over the next 2 or 3 hours, but we're not going to add a lot more to the rain that we've seen already from the system, which has generally been 2 to 4 inches with some locally amounts up to 7 inches. That's caused the flash flooding that was seen from really the downtown areas on all the way to the north and west, almost to the Iowa border. Again, conditions will improve later today. We do expect some sun to break through, and we'll get to 90. And with little wind and all this water and high humidity, the real field temperatures are going to go over 100 this afternoon, and it's only going to get worse from there. Partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-70s tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds, maybe an afternoon thunderstorm, but we get to the mid-90s with those real fields easily well over 105, and then triple-digit heat possible. Wednesday and Thursday with sunshine. Real feels up to 110. It's just going to be a couple of brutal days. We do have some thunderstorms in the forecast, though, by Friday with highs of 93. 73 in St. Peter's at 74 in Florissant. It's just cloudy right now at 75 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Global vaccine concerns. I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. The World Health Organization and UNICEF have released some worrying new data about global child vaccination rates.
These estimates serve as a really vital tool to measure how effectively countries are reaching children with life-saving vaccines. The latest estimates highlight a really concerning trajectory. The world is currently off track for the goal, which has been to halve the number of zero-dose children and achieve at least 90% global immunization coverage. Children living in one of 26 countries affected by fragility, conflict, or humanitarian emergencies are 3 times more likely to be unvaccinated compared to children who live in stable countries.
About 20 million children in 2024 have missed their first measles dose. An additional nearly 12 million children start their measles vaccination, but they do not complete. Over half of these children are in the African region and in countries affected by conflict and fragility, such as Sudan, Yemen, and Afghanistan.
With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
Here we are in the midst of summer. It's going quickly. Have you sold your house yet? Have you found your new house? What are your plans? If you want to take some of that stress off of your shoulders, just call Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria Lou should be your first call. The average realtor is going to put a sign in your yard, cross their fingers, hope it sells, but Gloria will guarantee in writing to sell your home for 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. So you don't want to risk working with someone who doesn't have the guarantees, the buyers, the experience to help you sell your home within your time frame and for the most money. And you're probably not going to find another realtor who's going to guarantee to sell your home. Again, for 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Give her a call at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
All right, here it is. I've been doing this for a long time. Not sure I've ever heard a sports executive take on his players with criticism like this. Maybe Doug Armstrong of the Blues got close one time, but Lutz Van Steel did not mince words here on Sports on a Sunday Morning after City gave up 1 goal in the FC Dallas game, 2 goals given up after that, and Lutz had had enough.
Mid through the first half, after that, I have to use some strong words today. I honestly thought it was disgraceful. I thought it was embarrassing. And the way, if you play like that, for me, it's not understandable that you play last week against a much better team like Dallas, Portland, and you work hard, you play well, you create chances, you look like you want to be on the field, and you put on a real contest, and then a week later, you literally it looks. I mean, I'll tell you, Tom. I feel so sorry for the people who traveled there and out of their own money and had to watch that, because it just was literally, it was a disgrace after the first goal. There was no energy, there was no fight, and it's simply not good enough. We have a huge number of players who are on options. I think they should be smart enough to know that they're playing for their contract, they're playing for their future. But the way we performed yesterday, I think that was a clear sign that if players don't want to be here, we need to change. And I thought it will be a busy July transfer window again, where we do our needs and we're getting players in who will make us better. But for the January, looking ahead, I think the players need to understand, this is it's professional sports. We're here to win. We're not here to stand around and jog around and don't put the work rate in and don't sprint. As I said, I don't want to rave even more. It just was not good enough, and there will be some hard conversations this week.
That is Lutz Van Steel, who went on and on about it on our Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast page at KMOX.com. You can hear the full conversation. We had Adam Wainwright as well. Cardinals 10 days away from the trade deadline. He had some thoughts there. Cardinals got swept by the Diamondbacks 5-3 yesterday, 2 games over 500. They visit Colorado tonight. Scotty Scheffler wins the Open Championship, 4th major for Scotty, 2nd this year. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center. Doctor, when should somebody typically get a hearing evaluation?
You know, Charlie, the simple answer to that would be at age 65. However, there are some contributing factors that might make people more at risk for hearing loss. Some people with a history of noise exposure or a family history of hearing loss, or those suffering from tinnitus, those people should come in to have their hearing evaluated at age 60. And of course, anyone noticing difficulty hearing or ringing in the ears should come in as soon as they notice these changes.
That's the word from Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center with 3 convenient locations: Florissant, St. Peter's, and Creve Coeur. Schedule an appointment today by calling 636-441-7470 or the Audiology Center STL.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Let's get you a check of traffic and weather at 7:51. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's just a little slow now, Debbie, in North County, westbound 270 approaching Bellefonte to 367, so a lot better there. Eastbound 70 is a lot better. It's just a little busy approaching 79, a little slow at 270. South 270, it's busy at Dorset, jam by the time you get to 364 down to Ladue. It looks like we had an incident possibly blocking there, a crash before you get to 64. It's hard to see if it's in the construction zone. I think it's out of the way now. Northbound 270, north of the Sappington Road overpass all the way up to Ladue, just kind of busy on the drive-in through there. We still have this jam on eastbound 64, a slowdown at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, but it's jammed 364 to Winghaven, a couple of slow spots east of there. We've had that crash on the shoulder near Highway K for a while, just west of K. Westbound 64 from Hampton out to Big Bend and Spady Ballast to slow. Eastbound 64 from Kings Highway up through to the Market Street Bernard exit, where we had an earlier crash. Northbound 55 between Bales and Weber's backed up downtown. Westbound 64 just a little slow crossing the Poplar. Next update at 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast from AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg. Extreme heat warning in effect through Thursday. AccuWeather real field temperatures around 105 today and tomorrow. We're just about through with this rain, but man, it has been falling and falling for hours. And right now we're in a window of relief here. Flood watch through 1 p.m. Thunderstorms with torrential downpours eventually tapering off, but it looks like we're going to get a little more rain coming through, just some light rain here in a couple of hours. In the meantime, a high today of 90. Again, will feel like 105. Flood watch through 1 p.m. Tonight, warm and sticky, low 76. Currently, it's 75 in downtown St. Louis.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed week for stocks last week. It was also a mixed Friday, but both the S&P Index and the NASDAQ each did hit new all-time highs on Friday before pulling back. Investors reacted negatively to President Trump's comment that he's eyeing a minimum 15% tariff on everything coming into the U.S. from Europe. As the market weakened last Friday afternoon, gold, U.S. crude, and Brent crude were each on pace to post their first negative weeks in 3. This is a very busy week for earnings reports. A lot of numbers are coming. About 20% of the S&P 500 companies will release quarterly results. Automakers GM and Tesla headline the week. It's also a big week for Google parent Alphabet. A total of 103 S&P 500 index companies and 5 Dow components will report. Today, a big pizza chain, among others.
On Monday, we'll hear from Verizon, Domino's, Coke on Tuesday, which will be a biggie after all the Maha stuff over syrup versus sugar. Also, Texas Instruments. Alphabet and Tesla report on Wednesday. That'll be a big day for big tech. You also get IBM and Southwest.
CNBC's Kelly Evans. Americans are less worried about an immediate recession and higher inflation. In the new University of Michigan sentiment survey.
A good data point on consumer confidence, highest confidence in 5 months. It jives with the story, which is less bad than feared. When it comes to earnings, this week it's been the story with the 30% market rebound from the April lows. So confidence improving and inflation expectations coming down.
CNBC's Sarah Eisen. American Express had a strong quarter. Consumers are paying those card fees, the Amex Platinum annual fee, $695. There's speculation it'll be going up.
Amex CFO Christoph Lakayak telling me that their customers have been, quote, amazingly resilient in the second quarter. The company topped estimates for profit and revenue on a 20% jump in card fees. So it's been no secret that affluent Americans haven't slowed down their spending. There are, however, interesting trends within the Amex data. Spending on goods and services has held up better than travel spending, which has been slowing down since the start of the year. The biggest soft spot in travel was in airline spending, which was flat, so 0% growth from a year earlier.
CNBC banking reporter Hugh Sun. Juul can continue to sell e-cigarettes, clearing up regulatory questions. Since the FDA ordered Juul to remove all products from the U.S. market 3 years ago, and then that order was overturned by a judge, Juul has submitted data showing smokers switch to e-cigarettes, which cuts down on traditional tobacco smoke. On today's watch list, it is all about earnings. We get numbers from Verizon, Domino's Pizza, and Cleveland Cliffs.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman, Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. GammaTree.com for all things trees, plants, shrubs, but also save this phone number, 314-725-6159, 314-725-6159. In fact, it might be a time for you to call if you have damage from these thunderstorms that just came through. Gamma Tree Experts, get in line for their services because they excel at that, and I can vouch for that. They've done that for us. We had a lot of things happen during a thunderstorm several years ago. 314-725-6159. Otherwise, Gamma Tree Experts, a full-service tree care firm specializing in the preservation of your valuable trees. Tim and Tom Gamma are certified arborists. Their father, Frank, started the business in 1954. This business has been around a long time. You've probably seen the Gamma Tree Experts vehicles around the St. Louis area. Tree and shrub pruning, trimming, insect and disease control, fertilizing, removal, stump removal. They do it all. They're fully insured. They're Gamma Tree Experts. GammaTree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
You've heard of Old Town Donuts, but did you know they were voted the best donut shop in America? That's right, and they've got 2 locations right here in Florissant and Cottleville. Stop by Old Town Donuts today and see why they're the best donuts in the country.
Let's check in with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we're slow on northbound 270, both sides of Gravois, Big Bend, all the way up to Ladue. South 270 approaching Page is jammed down to Ladue. Eastbound 64 better, but still slow. 364 past Winghaven from the earlier troubles. There's still heavy traffic from Tower Grove up through Market Street, Bernard. That right lane's closed as you get down into that area. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We have cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch. Ahead in the news, consumers aren't the only ones impacted by scams. Businesses are as well. More after the news.
I'm Debbie Monterrey. What is using ChatGPT doing to your brain? Media literacy expert Julie Smith looks at the latest research.
President Trump will reportedly take action to allow you to use your 401k to invest in private equities. Financial experts are raising red flags.
Michael Calhoun speaks with a St. Louis native who has created an app to help us with mindfulness.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Flooding downpours with thunderstorms taper off this morning. Some sun this afternoon, the high 90.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
At the tone, it's 8 o'clock in mid-America.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The work week begins with a scorching heat wave kicking up across parts of the country. CBS meteorologist Rob Marciano.
We've got a number of heat advisories out from Florida all the way back towards the Dakotas. Heat warnings out for Kansas City, for St. Louis, for Memphis. Temperatures there are going to be dangerously hot today with the humidity. It's going to feel like 109 in Memphis, 111 in spots, 102 in St. Louis.
Severe storms sent debris flying in Maine over the weekend and knocking down trees in Massachusetts. Rescuers saved more than 100 people in a mere 2 hours during extreme flooding in Maryland. A terrifying flight from Minneapolis to Minot, North Dakota. The pilot says he had to swerve to avoid slamming into a B-52 bomber as he came in for a landing. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
The FAA says it is still trying to gather more information about what happened here. We don't know how close these 2 aircraft came. It was a SkyWest regional jet with about 80 people on board flying for Delta. The captain said it was close enough that he worried that passengers may have seen the other plane, that B-52, coming at them through their window.
There is a military air base near the Minot airport. At least 19 people, including the pilot, killed when a Bangladesh Air Force jet crashed into a school in the capital of Dhaka just after takeoff. CBS's Vicki Barker is at the foreign desk.
As ambulances ferry more victims to the hospital, crowds have gathered outside its gates. Some people holding up signs with their blood types. Some 2,000 elementary to high school students were attending classes when the Chinese-made Air Force training plane crashed into the campus. Frantic parents have rushed to the school and to the hospital, desperate for news of their children.
A new CBS News poll shows support for President Trump's taken a hit. He now has a 42% approval rating. That's a double-digit drop since February. CBS's Weijia Jiang is at the White House.
A top issue remains the economy. 70% of people say the administration is not doing enough to lower prices prices. 61% believe they are putting too much focus on tariffs, and 60% oppose new tariffs on imported goods.
There's a sentencing hearing in Louisville, Kentucky today for one of a former police officer, one of at least 7 who shot Breonna Taylor to death in her apartment during a botched drug raid. Brett Hankinson could receive as little as just a day in prison. Former federal prosecutor Lori Levinson on the upper range.
The pre-sentence report by the probation department did recommend 11 to 14 years. In fact, under the statute, it could be a life sentence.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit progressive.com.
At 8:03, we have cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Monday, July 21st. The news sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Megan Lynch. The St. Louis Police Department investigating another death of a detainee at the City Justice Center.
The Force Investigative Unit was notified Saturday night just after 11:30 about the death. A preliminary report indicates before 8:30 Saturday night, there was a physical altercation between 2 detainees in the same cell. Police say immediately following the altercation, 31-year-old Samuel Hayes Jr. failed to comply with orders from correction staff and was placed in a restraint chair. Around 10 o'clock Saturday night, Hayes was found unresponsive. He was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer released a statement regarding that inmate's death, emphasizing her commitment to accountability and a full review of the incident. She says reforming the jail and ensuring the safety of those in custody are top priorities for her office. Mayor Spencer affirmed her office will support and await the St. Louis Police Department's investigation and final report. The Minority Business Program has been put on hold by the city.
Mayor Kara Spencer says the program was put on hold to avoid jeopardizing public funding for major projects like the airport consolidation. She says this won't change how the city supports minority businesses.
I'm really proud of Otis Williams for leading the charge here to making sure that we're not only compliant, but really working towards a solution that allows us to really fulfill our promise to the community to support our minority contractors.
The program helped minority and women-owned businesses register as such to help them qualify for government contracts with those requirements. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The planning and zoning meeting got pretty heated. Some of our neighbors felt like they weren't being heard.
That's David Perrick, a resident of Darden Lakes Estates in St. Peters, opposed to and concerned with a proposed AT&T cell tower going up on a church property next to their homes.
I don't believe the church was there. The representative from AT&T was there, the gentleman that's representing their special use permit.
KMOX spoke with several residents. Ken Revenaugh says St. Peter's own ordinance states wireless towers cannot be built on residential land.
And so to me, that is this special use permit, the church, I guess it's the church is the applicant, is going against the rules of St. Peter's because that is not zoned non-residential and they're treating it like it is.
St. Peter's Planning and Zoning Commission advanced the special use permit to the Board of Aldermen, who will have a first reading this Thursday evening at 6:30. The Maryland Heights City Council has approved the tearing down of a historic 120-year-old home to make way for a $24 million assisted living facility from Harmony Homes. The developer said the 7,000 square foot home, which had once been the Normandy Athletic Club but has been vacant for decades, was in derelict condition. Harmony Homes of Sunset Hills is planning a 6-building project on those 10 acres that, according to the Business Journal, will create smaller houses rather than large institutions inside an existing residential neighborhood to give more of a home-like atmosphere. Missouri Task Force 1 has completed its mission in Kerrville, Texas. KMOX spoke with Boone County Assistant Fire Chief Gail Blomenkamp, who says the men and women covered a large area.
Vehicles, structures, whatever it was that they come across, to do primary searches on all of that stuff. And so that included people on boats, on the water. That included HRD, Human Remains Detection Canine teams, searching those debris piles. And then men and women just flat out looking under every thing that they could look under and in between everything that they come across.
Blomenkamp says it was a very difficult mission and takes a toll on members of the task force. Members spent Sunday repacking and getting things ready for their departure this morning. Emos is selling its downtown West headquarters campus by City Museum, but they're not planning to go anywhere. They're apparently looking to sell the 4+ acre campus that includes their production facility and then rent the space from the new owner. According to the Business Journal, the parcels have an appraised value of more than $4 million. No asking price was included in the marketing materials. Emos was founded in 1964. It opened its new headquarters on 16th and Delmar in 2016. It's 8:08. We'll get a check of traffic and weather coming up.
This Simon Cancer Center spotlight how innovative immunotherapy is showing promise against aggressive T-cell cancers. Dr. John DePercio.
Patients have come here from all over the United States and, in fact, all over the world to get evaluated and treated for this treatment. We hope that this can be continued, that we demonstrate in a clinical trial that it's safe and effective, and that ultimately it will be approved by the FDA so it's available to everyone in the world.
For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
This is Glover. Right now, choose from payments as low as $99 a month or 12 months with no payments and no interest, plus a free in-home window and energy assessment. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 free room plus $50 off your air duct services. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings. So they were just out at my house about a month ago, and they've been out half a dozen times over the years. But I'm always impressed. They are punctual. They are professional. They are compassionate. They are courteous. They work their tails off, and they just flat out get your carpets, your upholstery, your air ducts as clean as the day they brought them in. It's St. Louis. It's the dog days of summer. Those carpets are going to be getting gamey. Maybe you dropped some toasted ravioli in there, some barbecue, whatever it is you put into them, we can get that back out. 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. It's always the same, Zero Res.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It's 8:10 coming up. Consumers aren't the only ones impacted by scams. Businesses are as well. We'll get more after traffic and weather. Starting us off is Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, they just called out EMS for a crash reported on southbound 67 near 94 in West Alton. So watch for possible delays. I don't see anything through there right now as I look into that area. So for now, it doesn't look like it's too much of an issue. We'll see what happens in the next few minutes. If you're on southbound 270, you still have stop-and-go pockets from about Dorset down through to 64. North 270, a little busy north of Gravois, and then Big Bend up to Ladue. That's slow the whole way through. Eastbound 64, east of 364 past Winghaven, still bogged down. We had a crash closer to K earlier that really had things backed up for quite a while. It's not as bad now, obviously. Eastbound 64 downtown through that Tower Grove Vandeven area, the right lane is closed east of there. Westbound 64 around the city limits is a little busy. Northbound 55 looks great down in the Festus area, just a touch slow. Loughborough, Virginia, downtown westbound 70, Muswell Veterans to McKinley Bridge looks a little heavy as well. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
An extreme heat warning through Thursday. AccuWeather real field temperatures reach 105 today, tomorrow over 110 Wednesday and Thursday. We also have a flood watch through 1 this afternoon. Thunderstorms with torrential downpours will taper off this morning, but flash flooding will persist in many areas. Expect significant travel disruptions and avoid flooded areas. Clouds give way to some sun this afternoon, high 90. Partly cloudy, warm and sticky tonight, though 76. Tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid, just a chance of an afternoon thunderstorm, high 94. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
74 degrees in Florissant now, 72 in St. Peters, and cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX. We often focus here on how scams impact individuals, but they also have a huge impact on businesses. Here's Debbie Monterrey.
We often tell you about scams that people are falling for, phishing, all kinds of other things that, can get you into some hot water. But There is a new Better Business Bureau study about business scams, and Brian Edwards of the BBB is joining us. He is an international investigation specialist. And I know at work here, we often get warnings that, people are getting emails and they're clicking on them and causing big problems. So this is a big problem in many ways for businesses, Brian.
Absolutely. This is, I think, anybody who's doing any work at any business, owns a business, has seen these types of scams at this point. Like you said, people are getting emails, they are getting phone calls, they are being prompted on different parts of social media. This is just everywhere, much like scams have unfortunately become an everyday part of life for consumers. They have for businesses as well.
Obviously, the larger businesses with bigger pocketbooks can maybe weather some of these issues better than smaller companies. But what kind of dollar amounts are we looking at? How big of a problem is this for businesses, big and small?
Yeah, it's huge. Across the country, every year there are billions lost cumulatively between businesses. And sure, while some of that is with these bigger businesses, and they can absorb that a little better, this is especially harmful for smaller businesses who are often targeted by these scammers as well. We quoted one outside source that showed that the average cost of a business data breach can reach $5 million. And that's excluding some of the biggest ones and the biggest companies, because scammers don't just get money, then businesses have to pay, consulting fees or IT fees to get their company back in order. So we're talking major, major losses here.
We've talked about in the past, people get an email, they're sitting at work and they just click on it. They think it's from somebody they know, or maybe even from their boss, who knows. So we know that we should all be more aware of that. But one of the things when I was looking through some of the reports, people will get an invoice or an order from a company that maybe they have done business with in the past, maybe even a regular customer, and then that turns out to not be real.
Yeah, the tricky part about this is you don't have to just watch out for, these scam outreaches that happen to your company, but companies that your business is doing work with. Maybe they have, had their system compromised. And then, like you said, scammers are impersonating their invoices. They're sending essentially the exact invoice that company sends, but with a different bank routing number to go to the scammers. So these are incredibly sophisticated. These are not all, you look at it and you will say, oh, well, this is obviously a scam. It takes diligence and training to avoid these types of scams.
Yeah, because some of these things some of us wouldn't even think twice about. Like, you start getting a notice that your domain name is going to expire. Well, you got to hop on that before you lose your domain name, right?
Yeah. These are important parts of doing business. And that's what the scammers have tapped into is things that people don't want interrupted, because it could interrupt the flow of dollars coming to or from them. And so, the scammers are really tapped into these different aspects. Like you said, domain names, trademarks for names, like another one, and they'll kind of use some threatening language to try to get businesses to hand over cash quickly before they're able to sit and think about what's being presented to them.
I'm sure one of the biggest problems right now is most businesses are understaffed and under a lot of pressure to get things done quickly. So it doesn't really give people a lot of time to kind of sit back and analyze everything that's coming at them.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of business owners since we put this out, and other media, and been talking about this a lot. That people who are either running businesses or who are heavily involved at their work in helping a business run, like you said, you're already super, super busy, and having to add on, watching out for scams or training yourself or training your staff to avoid these, that can very much feel like it is an extra burden that you don't have time for. But that's part of what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get it across to businesses that the losses here are quite high, and that while nobody wants to add another thing to their plate, that working on this on the front end can prevent huge amounts of both losses and headaches in the future that'll far outpace any amount of time you would spend learning about these types of scams and how to avoid them.
Yeah, average data breach costs $4.9 million. That is crazy, especially if you're a small business. And I'm sure that maybe the small businesses would be less likely to have firewall protection and maybe, you know, hire a company to actually do these kind of things for them. So your advice before we let you go, Brian, to small businesses and I guess all businesses?
Yeah, especially those small businesses. If you're doing anything on the computer, which I'm sure that you are, and you have never really had any, you know, IT work or any IT consulting work, I understand it's an additional cost, but look in to see whether you could, you know, hire some type of consultant just to run through your system to help you beef up security to make sure that you're taking proper steps. Another thing that we always urge people is, you know, you have to have multi-factor authentication at this point. I know it can be annoying for you and for your employees to have, you know, an extra step to signing in and getting to their work. But again, that's a small hassle for a much bigger protection. And then the last one is just that, unfortunately, it is the cost of doing business now is businesses and managers and their employees need to be up to date on what the latest scams are. So we're really recommending people, you know, read the reports that we put out, that the FTC puts out, that the FBI puts out, and try to stay knowledgeable about these scams, and then take the time as often as you can, at least, to train your staff on what to look out for in these types of scams.
That is the 2025 Business Scams Study by the Better Business Bureau, and the BBB's International Investigation Specialist is Brian Edwards. Thanks for the heads up today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Debbie.
Still ahead on Total Information AM this hour. What is using Chat GPT, that AI assistant, doing to your brain? Media literacy expert Julie Smith will look at some of the latest research. President Trump will reportedly take action to allow you to use your 401k to invest in private equities, and financial experts are raising red flags. Listen at 8:31. And then Michael Calhoun talks with a St. Louis native who has created an app to help us with mindfulness. First, though, let's get a check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's looking a lot better, Megan, out around the area. If you're on southbound 67 coming through 94 in West Alton, I don't see any issues. They called out for an EMS crash there, but it looks like things are fine, which is good news. South 270, still have a couple of stop-and-go pockets from 364 Page down to Ladue from an earlier crash we had at Ladue. North 270, Big Bend to Doherty Ferry and approaching Manchester up to Ladue. That's still slow. Eastbound 64 still bogged down east of 364 through Winghaven. About midway into K. It's just a slowdown, though. Still a little slow passing Tower Grove. Northbound 55, Loughborough through Virginia is a little heavy. Downtown, westbound across Poplar Mutual Veterans Bridges, things look great. Westbound 70, still just a little slow from Madison out through the McKinley Bridge. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, there is an extreme heat warning that will be in effect through Thursday. Real field temperatures are going to hit 105 today and tomorrow, and over 110 Wednesday and Thursday. We also have a flood watch through 1 p.m. because of the storms that we've had. That's eventually going to taper off, and then clouds breaking for some sun this afternoon. Expect a high near 90. Right now, we have cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
Ourselves and our neighbors get where we need.
I am reading a book right now that I'm really enjoying. It's called Saving Vincent. It's a novel of Joe Van Gogh. Who's Joe? Joe Van Gogh was Vincent Van Gogh's sister-in-law. She was Theo's wife. And she is actually credited in this book with being the one to save Vincent's reputation and help turn him into the famous painter that we know today. And the book was written by Joan Fernandez, who is a St. Louis author, and the book's getting a lot of great buzz. And we're going to talk to her tomorrow at noon for Book Chat with Debbie Monterrey and St. Louis Public Library. Join us on Facebook if you're not already a member. That's going to be at noon tomorrow. It's a great place to go for book recommendations, review books, talk about authors, and of course our author chat, which is with Joan Fernandez tomorrow at noon only on Book Chat on Facebook. St. Louis Public Library is St. Louis's original search engine, slpl.org. They still are your summer headquarters. When things are getting a little dull around the house, there's so many ways they can help entertain you. slpl.org.
We are Metro Transit. We don't just help ourselves and our neighbors get where we need to be. We help our whole region get where we want to be. Get on board at rideonmetro.org.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox. Go to nordiciusa.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
This is Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch, and I'm joined by Julie Smith. She's an author, instructor, public speaker, and she focuses a lot on media literacy. And we're going to talk today about your brain on Chat GPT. So I just did an interview with someone on how to write better prompts to get what you want out of Chat GPT. But what is the latest research telling us about our use of this?
Yeah, we actually call it, it used to be called prompt engineering, and now we call it prompt craft because it sounds fancier. I think it's really interesting that the MIT Media Lab did this study where they had 3 different groups write an essay. One group, they said, was to use their brain only. One group was to only use the internet. And the third group was to only use ChatGPT. And what they discovered is that the people who used ChatGPT to write their essay could not remember anything about the essay afterwards. It's the people that use their brain only that were able to retain. And so what this study suggested is that when we use AI tools, we are essentially outsourcing our thinking and letting the tool do the thinking rather than our actual brains. And so that it lowers our recall. All the AI essays sounded basically the same. You know, it's the same old story. But what they ended up saying at the end of this research study was that switching up tools is good for our brain. You know, that yes, use ChatGPT, maybe use Perplexity or Gemini and the internet and your brain and magazines and books. You want to try to mix it up as much as possible. That not only makes it sound more authentically human, but it also is richer in material.
I know you work with some teachers who have incorporated some of the AI in their classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Are there ways that you think we can actually use it to boost our brain power or our creative aptitude, maybe through things like writing prompts, for example?
Yeah, I think prompt writing is one of the best skills that students can learn. Although I always kind of joke that I rue the day that my students learn how to use a prompt that says, in the voice of a 19-year-old college student, answer this question, because then I think it's going to be harder and harder to tell. One advice that I give educators when we're talking about AI is that if you're giving an assignment and there's no meaning behind the assignment of why you're giving the assignment or what the student is supposed to learn from this assignment, you can't blame them for farming out the work. You can't blame them for outsourcing it if they don't see the point of it. So as an educator, I think it's really important to explain, here's why I'm giving this assignment. Here's where it fits in the curriculum or the learning outcomes of the course. And here's what I hope you learn from it, so that they feel a little more invested in it. If it's just busy work, we can't blame them for using ChatGPT or other AI tools to do the work. It just makes sense.
Well, and I guess I'm wondering from the standpoint of, say you're using this for business writing, how is it any different than using boilerplate language?
I don't think it is. I think it's very, the same cliches that show up in every resume, right? But I think it's just cliches on speed almost that after a while you can recognize it, and you can recognize AI written material, right? It's after you've consumed a lot of it, I think it becomes very obvious.
Are we at the point where people are using this so much though that they could diminish their brain power?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, 100. And I see it every day.
Oh, okay. In the classroom?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. That is Webster University instructor, media literacy expert Julie Smith joining us this morning here on KMOX. At 8:27, this time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology. See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Hi, it's Margaret from Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. I've worked with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano for more than 30 years. Their guidance and assistance with my estate planning and legal documents gives me the peace of mind that I have the retirement I've worked for and always dreamed of. And I'm playing it fully with my grandchildren, volunteering, and traveling worldwide. I play confidently knowing my estate is secured in any event. You can get your estate secured with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano too. Visit their website, yourestateMatters.com, and download their free webinar on how to get started. Then make a free appointment. Your estate matters because you matter. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com. The choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be made solely on advertising.
It's 8:30 at Total Information AM. Let's get the latest on the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, just some slow traffic out there right now, Megan. It's slowly getting better. This traffic reports the service of Glory Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty. If you're on eastbound 64, there's still that slowdown approaching Winghaven, not even midway into Kate. Then it opens up. Southbound 170 between Delmar and Ladue is just a little slow. South 270, south of Page down to Ladue is busy. North 270, I think we'll just call it Manchester to Ladue now. The only delays there, and again, it's just a slowdown. Northbound 55 looks great down in Festus and at River to Pear. Eastbound 64 still a little slower. That left lane's closed east of Vandevetter. Westbound 70 around Adelaide, a little busy. On the Illinois side, things continue to roll along. I don't see any issues coming in for the downtown bridges. Just a little bit of a backup on 111 north of 5570 at the railroad tracks there. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
We're going to have an extreme heat warning in effect through Thursday. Those real field temperatures could hit 105 today and tomorrow, and over 110 Wednesday and Thursday. Once the rain moves through clouds for much of the day, we could see some sunshine by this afternoon. Expect a high near 90. Partly cloudy tonight, warm and sticky with a low of 76. Right now, we do have cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. President Trump reportedly set to sign an executive order in the next few days allowing 401k plans to invest in private equities. The Wall Street Journal says specific details still being worked out. The main idea, though, is that 401k plans would be allowed to put money into things like real estate, startup ventures, and hedge funds. Right now, 401ks are limited to publicly traded items like stocks and bonds. Supporters of the executive order say private investments allow for higher returns, but financial expert Pam Kruger of wealthramp.com says people need to be careful.
Typical person, if you hate the stock market and you don't like the ups and downs of the stock market, you're going to hate the ride that you're about to get on with private investments. That's why any financial advisor who's worth the money to pay a fee is going to advise clients have a small portion, a small amount of investment, if anything at all. So they're not to replace index funds and they're not mainstream. They're off-road investments. So that's all the executive order is it's saying that we're going to pave the way to make it completely open and legal for 401k plans to, get their favorite flavor of private investments and start stuffing them into 401k plans.
Kruger points out private investments generally come with higher fees.
Here's the spoiler alert to the whole thing. Are the returns that people get in private equity greater than the returns in index funds? And the answer is, well, it might be for a day, it might be for a week, it might even be for 5 years. But over a career of investing in a 401k, nope. Because if you have to pay 2% or more, and part of the profit sometimes too, then how are you going to beat the market so much that you can make up for that extra huge amount of thousands of dollars in fees a year? So that's what private equity investments are. And each and every single one of them require due diligence.
Kruger also says there's a lack of transparency with private investments because they're not legally required to be as forthcoming with information like indexed funds and publicly traded companies. And she says that makes it very hard to research before investing. We're going to have more on your money coming up from Bloomberg. It's 8:35.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Check the back seat. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good, because every year dozens of children are forgotten in the back seat. Cars get hot fast and can be deadly, so get it in your head. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/life. That's ethos.com/life. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
Your Money Report, sponsored now by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Denise Pellegrini.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. We're hearing the European Union is eyeing a possible retaliation plan in case it doesn't get a trade deal with President Trump by the August deadline. Americans appear to be feeling better about the economy. According to the University of Michigan, consumer sentiment in early July rose to a 5-month high. That figure, though, is still below levels seen throughout last year. American Express says cardholders are showing they're willing to pay more for fees in exchange for more perks and more experiences. The firm reporting higher than expected second quarter revenue, driven by a 20% jump in card fees. And the premium card space is getting more competitive. JP Morgan Chase is now charging $795 a year for its Sapphire Reserve card. Citigroup says it plans to launch a Strata Elite card aimed at its more affluent clients. And American Express is making tweaks to its Platinum card later this year. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
This is Tom Ackerman for McKelvey Homes. Move up to McKelvey, McKelveyhomes.com. McKelvey Homes knows with market uncertainty and rising home values, many buyers are on the fence. But McKelvey Homes is turning that hesitation into opportunity. Right now, they are offering a 5.5% fixed 30-year interest rate on select homes, along with move-in ready options, exclusive savings, and the peace of mind that comes with buying new. Go to McKelveyhomes.com. You can view their custom home sites, find your new home, find out where they build all throughout the St. Louis area, St. Louis County and St. Charles County. McKelvey Homes, established in 1898, is Missouri's oldest and most well-established name in the home building industry. Again, go to McKelveyhomes.com and you can see all the information and photos there. Move up to McKelvey, McKelveyhomes.com, McKelveyhomes.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Upgrade your family vacation with an unforgettable escape to the Palm Beaches. From outdoor adventures and laid-back beaches to thrilling family attractions and animal encounters, the Palm Beaches have something for everyone. Discover premier resorts with creative kids clubs that will keep the little ones entertained while you enjoy world-class golf and spas. We are the original, the one, the only, the Palm Beaches. Plan your trip at thepalmbeaches.com.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword windows. That's pound 250 keyword windows, or head to rbastl.com.
Serving the Metro East region with excellence, Anderson Hospital is proud to be named one of Newsweek's World's Best Hospitals for 2025. Experience world-class care close to home. AndersonHospital.org.
Cloudy skies, 72 degrees at 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. The St. Louis Police Department investigating a death at the City Justice Center following a fight between two inmates. Retailers say consumers should expect less of a selection and higher prices in the coming holiday season. That's due to uncertainty over tariffs. Just ahead, meet the St. Louis native who has created an app for mindfulness. First, though, let's get a check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things look pretty good out there right now, Megan. This traffic report's a service of Anderson Hospital. Just a little bit of a slowdown now, eastbound 64 east of Winghaven. Not much to worry about there. North 270 Manchester to Ladue still slow. South 270 Olive to Ladue, that's still busy. Northbound 55 looks great down in Festus all the way up into the city. Downtown we're clear westbound across the Poplar and Musewell Veterans Bridges. Eastbound 64 still a little slow past Vanaventer. That right lane's closed as you head down the hill toward Market Street, Bernard, and Grand. Westbound 70, a slowdown at Salisbury. And it looks like it's a little slow around the bend at West Florissant as well. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the heat's going to be the story in weather today. We are under an extreme heat warning for the next few days. That's because even though the high is going to be near 90, it's going to feel like it's 105 today. Mostly cloudy, but we could see some sun this afternoon. Right now we have cloudy skies, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. You're listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. It's an app that claims to help you take control of your thoughts. KMOX's Michael Calhoun talks with the St. Louis native behind it.
Well, as we continue to introduce you to the Arch Grants cohort, the startups that are forming the future of St. Louis, let's talk with Marlon Bonds, who's the founder of Hypno Loops, which is a St. Louis startup staying here because of Arch Grants. Thank you so much for being with us, Marlon.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yes, so you have created a mindfulness app. I understand that's what Hypno Loops is. Kind of explain to us what that means.
Mindfulness is, I guess, in the same field as like a meditation app, and we're really the first app designed for families and friends to easily record and share meditations. That's kind of what we're really building this upon. Family and friends recording personal meditations, personalizing them, sharing them with their kids sharing them with the parents, vice versa, loved ones, spouses. We really want to just make being mindfulness easy right in your smartphone without having to learn, 2,000-year-old techniques on how to meditate. What we've created makes it really easy. Puts it right in your smartphone, and we pride ourselves on you being able to record and create a meditation in seconds.
Do the users record the script, or they find somebody who they'd like to hear their voice, or when it comes to writing the script, is there a template to follow? Any kind of strategy that people should know about with that? Kind of talk about how the process works.
That's a great question. Our concept and the machine of our app is built on a looping technology, i.e. Hypno Loops. So when you open up the app, you'll see one of the buttons you can push is called affirmations. And then there's all these categories. Maybe you're feeling sick or just drained or demotivated, or maybe you're injured, or maybe you're working on your weight. You'll tap one of these categories and there'll be a list of affirmation, positive statements for you to choose from. You select one and you can record that in your voice or in a loved one's voice. And our app will automatically loop that for you. It allows you to personalize the speed of it. And then you can even choose soundscapes. And all of our soundscapes are produced by Grammy artists, either winners or nominees. I'm coming from the music industry, so I hope that's clear. It's not even that you're recording. You can record as much as you want, but we're giving you short phrases that you can loop to yourself to professional soundscapes, if that makes sense.
And you kind of mentioned this, talking about, for instance, somebody who might want to lose weight. I'm thinking of athletes, maybe. Who are
Absolutely.
some of the use cases you think for this?
We age-wise, we're thinking Gen Z and millennials, 18 to 45. But that's kind of our target, and that's just people who have work, they're stressed out with work. People who have school, they're stressed out with school, stressed out with life. We thought it would be limited to that, but as we had the app free last year for about 100 people, and people started making meditations in their kids' voice. Athletes were using it to run and go to the gym. Moms were running and working out or breastfeeding their baby while listening. People are recording shushes into our platform, and they use it for a night, like a peaceful sound for a sleeping infant. I could go on and on, but we have people with injuries who, for example, we have one user who had a knee surgery and that was not healing like they wanted it to heal. So they recorded this phrase, "I trust my body to heal." That somehow got into their psyche, and they were able to internalize that. And even their physical therapist couldn't believe how many reps they could do with their leg lifts. They listened to it during a session. So it for some reason helped their mind relax, their body relax right into it in that moment, and they were able to actually get better faster. These are just examples of how people use this. You have to think about it. You're listening to your voice all the time, even the negative things that you easily believe that are really demotivating you or causing you stress or anxiety, right? So our technology is used to kind of block or defend a more positive thought, a more positive outlook. That's why our one of our slogans is "Take control of your thoughts."
And Marlon, tell us about your background. You mentioned this as well. You know, so many nominations and awards that you've won, and the different things that you've accomplished. And so I'll let you kind of describe your route to this.
Okay. I grew up right here in St. Louis as a trumpet player. I played jazz here, and I grew up with all the great jazz musicians from St. Louis that are doing wonderful things in the music industry. And as I kind of got through college and got out of college, I realized I didn't want to have to travel so much. So I started on this pursuit to being a producer and a songwriter. And I got really fortunate. You know, I would pass out CDs in New York City like many producers start out. And eventually I got the right person who gave me a shot. And from there, I went on to be 7 times platinum, multi-Grammy nominee, a BMI award winner. I've worked with most of the big companies in sync licensing. I've built a nice career even on that side of it. And so that's the career aspect. But how that all led to Hypnoloops is that I went through these personal tragedies. I lost my father to COVID, and then shortly after, my wife and I, we lost our son, and it just kind of stopped us in our tracks. And I personally needed something that I didn't have available to me. So I would go to the studio and I would create these meditations, and I would loop them in a way that I was just being a producer. I would produce them. I had no idea how it tied into science at the time, but I would just produce these in a way that sounded good. I would put effects on my voice, and I would make these things so that I could listen to them for an hour at a time or 2 hours at a time while I'm just maybe taking a walk or whatever. And it just changed my life. And it's really cleaned up a lot of all of my like bad habits that my brain had that was really making me feel anxious. So my passion for this comes from the recording studio ultimately, and really wanting to bring that experience with really high technical programs and everything that it takes to make something sound good in music. But I want to simplify it and put it in an app. And that's what we've done with Hypnoloops.
Well, a St. Louis startup to definitely follow. A lot of developments coming soon from Hypnoloops, founder Marlon Bonds. Thank you so much, Marlon, for being with us on KMOX. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate your time.
And thank you, Michael, as well. Coming up, we'll tell you about the most common inherited form of intellectual disability, and it's not Down syndrome.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Experience the magic of the Fabulous Foxes 2025-2026 Broadway season, which includes the return of St. Louis favorite, The Phantom of the Opera, and the spellbinding spectacular Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And right now, KMOX has your chance to win a pair of season tickets for the 2025-2026 season. Prize package includes a pair of tickets for all 8 shows in the subscription package. Register now online at KMOX.com/contests for your chance to win.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. Families in St. Louis working to raise awareness of a genetic condition that can be passed silently down through generations. Tomorrow is World Fragile X Day. Jennifer Frobish is a carrier. Her son has Fragile X syndrome. What are some of the characteristics of Fragile X?
So Fragile X is the most common cause of genetically inherited mental impairment, intellectual impairment worldwide, and also one of the few known medical causes of autism. So it is a spectrum disorder, so no two people living with Fragile X are really the same. You might notice some of those more autistic behaviors like social avoidance, avoiding eye contact, hand flapping, kind of repetitive movements or repetitive sounds, hyperfixation on things. But in general, where individuals with Fragile X differ from those who live with just an autism diagnosis, they are very social. They want to be part of the group. They want to make others happy and make others proud of them. They have great senses of humor. There are some physical characteristics, but really it's those behavioral and intellectual characteristics that are more commonly noticed.
How common is it?
Fragile X actually, in terms of pre-mutation, about 1 in 151 females are pre-mutation carriers of Fragile X syndrome. For the full mutation of the syndrome, we estimate about 1 in 7,000 males and 1 in 11,000 females have been diagnosed with Fragile X syndrome. So it's much more common than people think. It often goes undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, but it's actually more common than Down syndrome or other genetic conditions that people are more aware of.
And I'm guessing that most people who might be a carrier probably would not know it unless then they have a child who has Fragile X.
Yeah, very accurate statement. Most people are unaware that they're carrying that pre-mutation condition until their child is diagnosed, or unless they have another family member who's been diagnosed with Fragile X, and then the family does some genetic testing to kind of trace and see who all is affected. But many of us had never heard of it until our children were diagnosed in their earlier years. And the average age of diagnosis is, usually around 3 years of age, 4 years of age. So it takes several years for us to realize that this is something that impacts our families.
I know I hear with a lot of disorders that early intervention is key. Is that the same for Fragile X?
100%. And that's something we've been really focused on in terms of advocacy work, is getting Fragile X as part of that newborn screening process, because the earlier we can diagnose an individual with Fragile X syndrome, the earlier we can help them with therapies like speech therapy and occupational therapy, physical therapy, sometimes feeding therapies. Early intervention is key, very, very important to any kind of intellectual disability.
For people living with Fragile X, what's their ability, for example, to live an independent lifestyle as they age and become adults?
Yeah, I mean, that really is kind of, it's varied. There are some individuals who, I would consider to be very high functioning adults, but they live at home with their parents for safety reasons or income reasons. Because as you can imagine, it can be difficult to have, full-time employment that really supports you financially. But there are great resources in our community, like the St. Louis ARC and others, that support individuals who are neurodivergent and give them that opportunity to live independently. I have 2 really good friends of mine, Jason and David Fishman, who both live with full mutation Fragile X, and they live together in an apartment. They cook, they clean, they have jobs, but through the services provided by the St. Louis ARC, they're able to really live very busy lives, to be honest. I feel like they are always out and about doing something, but they live independently and they are thriving. They're great role models.
What do you see on the horizon as far as treatments and therapies?
Well, there is a lot of excitement right now in the research space for Fragile X. A lot of pharmaceutical companies and really top scientists studying the mechanisms behind the Fragile X brain and identifying ways that we can effectively treat this syndrome. There are some research trials that are in their very final phases, and we'll have that here soon, and they are very, very promising. And they've been shown to make significant difference in speech development and the ability to learn and maintain skills across a variety of individuals who are affected by Fragile X syndrome. So through the work of Fraxa Research Foundation, which is an organization that was started and run by parents of individuals with Fragile X, they do nothing but focus on Fragile X research, and all of their investments are really paying off. And I imagine within the next 5 years, maybe 10 years, but within the next 5 years, we're going to see some really exciting breakthroughs that'll make a significant difference for people like my son.
If families hear this and they think, I think this is my child, where can they reach out for some help and support?
Sure. Well, if they happen to be in our area, we have a great organization called the Fragile X Resource Center of Missouri. So they can go to fragilexmissouri.org and learn all about us. St. Louis, for whatever reason, happens to be a hub for families affected by Fragile X, and we are all happy to lend a hand. I always recommend Fraxa Research Foundation as a resource, fraxa.org. And the National Fragile X Foundation is phenomenal as well. So if they go to fragilex.org, they can learn a lot about clinics and doctors and experts in their area. There are many resources available to individuals, and we're all on the web.
That is Jennifer Frobish with Fragile X.
Holy moly, there's a lot to talk about. The cold